Good morning, everybody. My name is Ludwig Karg. I'm going to lead you through this conference, the annual conference of the Joint Programming Platform Smart Energy System. We would have wished that we can meet at some nice place, meet in the gardens, meet at the seaside. Again, it didn't happen that way. But I'm sure it will happen next year. But we wanted to celebrate this 7th year of our joint programming platform. We are on the road since 7 years. This, what we call Policy and Status Conference, is dedicated to bit understand where we are, where do we stand, what did we learn, where do we go. A warm welcome to all funding agencies, to all projects, to all associated partners, policymakers, guests from all kinds and many parts and many regions of this world. We have guests from Europe, of course, but also from overseas that dial in maybe a bit later in today. This conference is a virtual conference, as I said, and you might have realized that we led you to this conference through a tool which is called B2Match. B2Match is a tool that allows you to keep talking, to meet other people, and we have roughly 50, 60, 70 requests where people organize bilateral meetings. Please do so if you haven't done. This opportunity goes on even after the conference, but it's also working throughout all the coffee breaks and lunch breaks and in the evenings in the next 3 days. If you don't know how, you will be guided on the website, but we will introduce the tool also during or just before the coffee break, which is due in 2 hours. So, my duty is to also introduce you, and if you can switch to the next slide, maybe people can read it even. I can switch myself. The tool we use is Webex mainly. I think you all know how to use these virtual tools. Meanwhile, please mute your microphone definitely, except when you are speaking. Switch off your video if you don't speak. Maybe throughout the discussions you may switch on if you feel like you want to say something. We will see. I have to tell you that the meeting is recorded. So if it's for documentation purpose. If you don't want to show up, please don't switch on and don't talk, otherwise you will be recorded. Your name will be displayed in this tool, and it will show up in the list of participants that we will share, and it will show up in the chat window. So if you don't want to be shown by name, you know how to change it. And if you want to ask technical questions, please use the chat. There is a technical team behind the scenes and they will help you. We have an agenda. The agenda says that we first will have a welcome by Michael Hübner, the coordinator of this entire joint programming platform institution. Then we will have some testimonials, I would say, success stories from different views, from different people that are in the coordination team and help organizing this platform and this ERANET group. Then we will have 2 panel discussions, one with people that went with us in the past 5 to 7 years. What did they see? What did they learn? What did they experience? And then another panel session with people that can tell us a bit what are the plans for the next part of our road. At 11, we will have a session that explains to you what is the National Stakeholder Coordination Group. That's a very, very interesting organization on European and member state and regional level. So you are invited to learn more about that. and how it is related to our joint programming platform. And we will have a nice panel discussion before our lunch break. And we will also ask you, the audiences, how do you feel about this institution, the NSCG, and what would you propose or wish what to do next? Then at 12:30, we have a lunch break, and then let's see what's happened then. It's, of course, opportunity to meet other people. As I said, you will find your partners in the B2Match tool. That's for the beginning. So now I call upon Michael. Michael co-invented this entire beast, and he is with us. And at this point of time, let me say thank you on behalf of the entire group. You have been leading us for the 7 years. But you will share your experience and your views for today, tomorrow, and the other years that are going to come. Your turn, Michael.
Thank you very much, Ludwig. Good morning to everyone. Yeah, of course, no one can do things alone, so it's important that we have a great team working on this initiative. My role is the role of the coordinator. I'm working at the Austrian Ministry of Climate Action, and I'm engaging in joint programming and ERNets since the early 2000s, when the ERNets were starting off in Europe. In the first minutes of this conference, I will try to shed a spotlight on some of the achievements that I think are important and that have been made. First of all, what is the joint programming platform, and why are we doing this? The energy transition is a big challenge that we have to face together, and many European member states have and had already the last 20 years and longer strong programs that are trying to develop technologies and solutions for this transition. Now, in a European landscape, it became more and more obvious and important that it absolutely makes sense to join forces and not do things in silos or alone in different countries. And step by step, over the first trials that we had with the so-called ERA-NETs, where we had the first experiences of organizing joint calls together to finance transnational projects, this strong initiative on one of the topics came up. The central topic here is energy system transition, smart grids. It started, and then it became more integrated systems and digitalization. So this is the focus that we are having: system integration and system innovation in the energy sector. And meanwhile, 32 public funding partners from 29 countries and regions in Europe, but also beyond, have joined this platform and are building this platform and are financing transnational projects on technology, on what we call marketplace. So how do we organize the energy system, and adoption aspects? So how do these solutions really become part of our daily businesses? I try to move the slides, but I cannot. Can someone move the slides for me, because it's not working at the moment? Julia or someone from the team, can you please? Yes, thank you. So what are the major achievements that we have been making by working together on this platform? When we started the first joint calls to finance cross-border transnational RDI projects, that was a very unique experience. But the important step was then that we were able to go from single joint calls to really a multi-annual joint programming, where we can really organize a series of calls year by year. So since 2015, we come up with a joint call for RDI projects every year. with budgets between 20 and 50 million euros. And the important thing here is, and this is what this platform has managed to do, you have to handle the strategic planning for the next years in parallel to the implementation of this year's call, and to handle and accompany the projects that were raising from the former calls. And this is an important process from a single call towards strategic multi-annual programming and achievement that we have made. Another important element was to develop sound knowledge generation and knowledge management concepts. The first decision that we were taking was that we don't only want to finance projects cross-border but we also want to work actively with the projects. We found it very important that we as program makers and financiers learn together with the projects, but also that the projects learn from each other, so that we don't reinvent the wheels always again and again, but really move forward step by step, that we understand what are the important cross-cutting topics, and that we really generate strategic knowledge out of these projects, that everyone, the projects, the program makers, but also the practitioners out there can use. And our knowledge management team has developed some certain dedicated formats how we can generate this knowledge, how we come in a structured process from data, from information from the projects to this strategic knowledge that we can share now on the European level. One important step was that we were able to integrate several topics, focus areas, and also support activities from the European Commission under one umbrella. The blue boxes here that you see were different kind of ERNet approaches, and also supporting contracts from the European Commission. And we put that all under a joint management umbrella, which made it possible to leverage synergies, and which made it possible to develop different supporting tools. That's the orange or brown boxes here, only examples that we can use not only in one activity, but really over the years to accompany the projects arising from these joint calls happening since 2015, year by year. So that's the joint programming cycle that I've been talking about. That's the knowledge community that I've been talking about. That is also our digital collaboration platform, the Xpera, that supports the projects, but also the program makers and the finances, and the whole platform and all the activities that we are doing on this platform. The impact network, where we work with associated partners on the impact maximization of our projects, and elements like the validation ecosystems that we have been starting together with Living Labs to connect our funded projects to Living Labs and make them collaborate with each other, or also the collaboration platform for interoperability testing that we're at the moment working on. These are only examples, and you will hear more during the conference about the achievements and these different tools. The important point that I wanted to make here, that the important step and achievement is to bring this all under one umbrella that we call the joint programming platform. So this joint programming platform makes it possible that we connect a lot of dots in Europe and connect with a lot of dots in Europe. On the one hand side, we have our partners, the countries, the funding agencies that are working and financing a huge number of already national and regional projects that we connect, and these innovation ecosystems are connected by our transnational JPP SES projects. In these projects, a lot of practitioners are active from companies, technology companies, but also appliers and need owners, and we try to support with our support activities also to link those with, for example, digital platform providers to leverage synergies and to make it easier for the projects to get access to these platforms, with living labs, as I explained before, to make it easier to get access to those, with associated partners to increase the impact of these projects. We connect with a number of international organizations like the Mission Innovation to reach out also to partners beyond Europe, which has really started to become successful over the last years. And in the set plan Action 4, which is dealing with energy networks, energy system integration, we are, of course, integrating these activities in the European landscape, where the Bridge initiative is linking all the European projects, and we connect our knowledge community to this group, the set plan implementation working group number 4, where member states together with stakeholder groups are working on implementation plans in this field for Europe. The National Stakeholders Coordination Group, where we closely collaborate with the European Technology and Innovation Platform, Smart Networks for the Energy Transition, the ETIP-SNET, and the ETIP-SNET working groups. So you see that this is an integrated activity that supports the core activities on the European level in the set plan. This one, I think, will come later again. I only want to say here you see how we went from different topics, starting from Smart Grids Plus to integrated regional energy systems. Then we had a focus in 2019 on energy storage system solutions. In 2020, we had a focus on digital transformation of the energy system. And lately, together with ERNet Geothermica, we were able to implement a joint call on renewable heating and cooling solutions. You see that over the years, already more than 69 projects. I don't know if this figure is still accurate. Maybe it's already more, have been funded since 2015. And I can say that more than 100 million euro have been transferred to projects to fund transnational projects over the years. New activities are starting every year. The latest news are the podcast series on current affairs, research and innovation related to energy that is working with the recommendations that our projects in the knowledge community formulated in the policy briefs. And 5 episodes are planned to be published until end of 2022, and the first podcast is already available and has been presented in the course of the last Mission Innovation gathering on the global level, which we can, I think, be proud of, and it was well received. Another new element and format that we are developing is the Project Chain program. We want to make our RDI activities and projects as impactful as possible, but that means, of course, that they have to go from RDI step by step to implementation and to scaling up and multiplying the solutions. And therefore, of course, they need also other funds and financiers because we cannot only do this with RDI funds and instruments. And therefore, it's important that we help to connect with those other funders and programs and develop together project chains that lead from RDI step by step over the valley of death into implementation. You will hear, I think already in the next session, we will, or very soon we'll learn about this new program. Last message, we are moving on. We are not standing still. So from these different ERNets in Europe that were dedicated to different topics technologies in the field of energy innovation, like our joint program, Platform Smart Energy Systems, we were now able to start on building an initiative that is now integrating all of these networks into one big network that is called the Clean Energy Transition Partnership. This partnership will officially start next year. It has already been, we have already been starting to work on this nearly 2 years ago. Last year, we were able to establish a joint innovation and research and innovation agenda that was adopted by nearly all European countries. And now we are at the point where we start to set up this new initiative with 32 countries, nearly all European member states, and many associated countries, 70 funding partners, 70 funding partners. I didn't even know that so many funding agencies and funding and ministries related to this are existing in Europe. So I think that's really a huge success. And it shows the big commitment that the countries and the funders in Europe have to work together. 13 coordinating units will be active in this network because it is a complex network that is covering all the topics and technologies that are important for the energy transition technologies in Europe. So that goes from single technologies to integration topics, as you will see on the next picture. And this initiative will turn over between 100 and 130 million euro per year on funding for technologies and solutions for the energy transition in the coming years. Officially, it is planned until 2027, but I would say it's an activity that we start for the next 10 years, which are very important for making the energy transition a success. This is the last picture to show you just a sketch how this new initiative will be structured. And you see here that it is building on our idea of the joint programming platform and is leveraging this idea to the next and this concept to the next level. So in this initiative on the joint programming platform, a number of transition initiatives will become active. Each of these transition initiatives is dedicated to a certain challenge for the energy transition. So on the one hand side, European energy infrastructure integration, the transition initiative number 1. Then on the left side, you have a number of technology-focused transition initiatives on power technologies, on storage and fuels and carbon use and sequestration, then on heating, cooling solutions and technologies. And then you see on the right-hand side a bunch of more system integration-focused initiatives. The integrated regional energy system, the integrated industrial energy system, and integration in the built environment. And you see that is shown with these orange arrows here that our joint programming platform, Smart Energy System, will step by step become a part of this big platform, the Clean Energy Transition Partnership. And more or less it will be transitioned into the TRI-1, European Energy Infrastructure, and TRI-5, the Integrated Regional Energy Systems. So that's the outlook. And with this, I give back to Ludwig.
Thank you, Michael, for this run through what has been done and what's going to come. Last night, we were kidding a bit that we should be thankful to Microsoft that they enlarged the size of the PowerPoint slides. Otherwise, the big CETP wouldn't fit. Yes, but first, let's look back a bit and then look forward to what's going to come. When we look back, I rely on 3 ladies that you can see here. They are the members of coordination team and they have different responsibilities. Sofia Elamson from the Nordic Energy Research is part of the team that manages the calls for projects and the entire selection and funding process. Julia Chenut is with B.A.U.M, and we are responsible for the knowledge community. Michael said it, we are not only just funding projects, we also try to derive tangible knowledge for the others and share it. Julia will present on these achievements, and last not least, Jatta Jussila from Finland, from the CLIC Innovation. She is also a member of the support team, and in our support team, she is responsible for innovation. That's what we call it internally. Thanks to the three to present their insights and the achievements of our group. And I'd ask Sofia to start. You should be able to control your slides, Sofia. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much, Ludwig. I will make a try. Yeah, it's working. Okay, great. Thank you. And good morning to everyone. My name is Sofia Elamson, and I am an advisor at Nordic Energy Research. This is an organization funding research and analysis to improve energy collaboration in the Nordic countries. But I'm here today representing the call management of JPP SES. I've been a part of this team and worked to develop joint calls and support applicants and program managers since 2018. But my organization has been involved in this task since 2015, when the first call was launched. This is a few years before my time, but I would still like to start my presentation today by looking back a few years and take you through the evolution of our initiative and joint calls. So I will start with that, and after that I will also say a few words about our call process and about summarizing the results from these years of funding joint calls. So the first call was announced in 2015 within the Smart Grids Plus initiative. This was launched as an ERANET co-fund with a focus on advancing the integration of smart grids system technologies, stakeholder adoption, and market processes. And the first call brought 22 funding agencies from all over Europe together and had an outcome of 21 funded projects. And you can see some more details about the projects in the boxes here. I won't get into all of them, but just to give you some background. And the partners in Smart Grids Plus then successfully managed to launch additional calls on smart grids in both 2016 and 2017, but also at the same time applying to the EC for establishing a new ERANET co-fund, which was on integrated regional energy systems, or as we call it, ERANET RegSys. And as RegSys was established, we managed to keep up the tradition to launch another call in 2018. This time it had a focus on smart energy systems, and this was followed by an additional call in 2019 on energy storage. And for the storage call, we would also cooperate with Mission Innovation, and for the first time we could welcome applicants also from India. In 2020, we did indeed face some challenges due to the pandemic, as we all did, but another ERANET co-fund, the Enerdigit, was established, and we were able to launch the joint call 2020 on digital transformation for green energy transition. This was launched just before Christmas, but nevertheless still in 2020. And for this call, we would again collaborate with Mission Innovation and not only include India this time, but also Morocco. Finally, there was also an additional call launched in 2021 on heating and cooling. This was our first time to collaborate with another ERANET, Geothermica, in a call, bringing in funding agencies from both initiatives to fund projects. And this could happen much thanks to our excellent colleagues in Geothermica, who has handled a major part of the call management for this call. So to summarize, we have been quite busy with call activities in JPP SES, and this has helped establishing us as a brand. I think this is also visible in terms of the number of applications that have been increasing, especially since the launch of RegSys. We received 57 full proposals, and for the Enerdigit call, we had a record of 86 full proposals submitted. So this, of course, means a lot of work for the call management and the funding agencies, and not to forget a real competition among the applicants to be the ones that are selected for funding. But this also ensures that we have products of high quality to choose from. Then I would like to move on to highlight some of the success stories and achievements, which is the headline for this session. I would like to point to some features of our calls that we think have worked quite well for both applicants and funding agencies. So I would start by emphasizing the flexible approach that we've been trying to keep. ERANET co-funds are quite complicated to both applicants and program managers. It means you try to find a process that works for, let's say, 20 different national or regional funding agencies. They all have their different regulations, and the project applicants need to consider these. And then you also, of course, have the easy regulations for co-funded calls. So there's a lot to process. Through the years, we've tried different solutions, and what we think works quite well is to ask applicants to send in a very simple pre-proposal, or also called registration of interest. And this kind of allows them to test their idea with the funding agencies and receive an indication on whether the product is worth to elaborate on. And it has also been possible to change your partners or to add new partners for the full proposal. So all of this happens through what we call the advisory period, where the applicant can get in contact with the funding agencies, and they can then adapt their proposal. They can make sure that it is in line with the national or the regional requirements and so on. So this has worked quite well. We usually receive a large number of pre-proposals because, as I mentioned, they are quite simple. But during the advisory period, some of them fall out, and we have ended up with about half the number for the full proposal. And this has still been a very large number. The aim, of course, is to have as many eligible projects as possible that we can then send forward to evaluation. But we have still seen projects falling out due to partners not being eligible. The funding agencies cannot approve them, and maybe they cannot tell until they have the full proposal. And this is also why we introduce something that we call a fallback strategy. This means that the project can describe in the proposal how would they manage without one country or region falling out, no longer being part of the project. And this gives them a second chance in case this happens. And we have seen projects score quite high as well as getting funded, even if they have lost a partner. So it's still a possibility to go on. There are many things to do, call processes. We have been constantly developing, always aiming for improvement and taking in the feedback that we receive from our funding partners, from the applicants, from the expert evaluators, and so on. But with the aim to have projects of high quality on the final list of projects that will be selected for funding. Another thing I would like to highlight in my presentation today is, I think this is really worth making a remark about the interdisciplinarity approach that we keep. This so-called 3-layer research model has been used since the launch of the first Smart Grids Plus call in 2015. This was meant to fit into a multi-dynamic research and development environment where the technological solutions are, of course, crucial, but they also need to be developed and aligned in structure in the market with new goods and new services, and also learn how barriers in community and society can be overcome to be able to implement these new solutions. And this is described in the 3 layers that you see on the screen here. You have the technology layer, but you also have goods and services and stakeholders and adoption. And since the call in 2015, the projects have been encouraged to cover more than 1 layer in their proposal. And this is also something that is then included in the evaluation criteria. And it's present also in our expert panel that evaluates the proposals. The experts representing not only the technological layer, but also market and stakeholders. This model is something that creates an interesting and fruitful dynamic among the evaluators, yes, but also among the funded projects through the knowledge exchange in our knowledge community, which you will hear more about soon. this is my final slide for today. So just to summarize, since 2015, we have funded 71 transnational projects. I saw in Mikael's slide before that it was 69, so somewhere in between there. We have had agencies from 34 countries and regions participated with funding. Not all of them in every call, but in total over the years. And together the projects have been granted funding of 99 million euros, and the project budget accounts for 149 million euros. I must add also that this slide today does not include the energy projects. This process is just about to be finalized, and the same goes for the heating and cooling projects, as this call is still in process. So this picture will change as more projects are approved for funding.
It's always dynamic in the figures, Sofia.
Yeah, you know, somewhere about. Also for the funding numbers.
Michael, thank you, Sofia, for these insights. This is a very important part, of course, of the entire joint program platform, namely awarding projects. And Michael, in your introduction, you said you don't recall the correct number, 99 million euros. We can remember that number, right?
Now we know it exactly.
Now we know it exactly. At this point, I would like to hand over to Julia. Someone has to give her the control. It's about informing researchers, policymakers. It's about creating knowledge. Julia will run you through this big part of the JPP SES, and she will rush a bit. We are running late, Julia.
Yeah, thank you, Ludwig. I'll try to do my best to be fast. So, good morning, everyone, from my side as well. I'm Julia Chenut. I'm working at B.A.U.M Consult, and I'm here representing the support team of the Joint Programming Platform Smart Energy System, and in particular, the knowledge community part and activities of it, and the achievements since its start in 2017. And what we can say is that it's really a teamwork. And then I will show you a bit how we do this teamwork in a quick way. So the support team, so the Joint Programming Platform Smart Energy System is supported by a support team who is composed of 3 different organizations with from 3 different countries, and which cover a lot of different skills that are useful for the service we are providing to the platform, which include the office communication and the knowledge community and the impact network management. We have RSC, an organization from Italy, a public control company carrying research into the field of electrical energy, with 4 colleagues supporting us, supporting the platform here. Then there is CLIC Innovation, an open innovation cluster from Finland, working on solutions for bioeconomy, circular economy, and energy systems, with 5 colleagues there. And then B.A.U.M Consult, supporting, so an SME supporting enterprises, municipalities, and governmental institutions for different type of topics linked to environmental management, energy, and sustainability. And yes, altogether we, in between different other tasks, support with the knowledge community work. And so the idea there is to start with project data that we get from the projects and project reports, and create information, co-create information with the project based on this data, and from this information co-create together knowledge. And this involves, of course, having exchanges between those project partners and also experts in the same field of energy system integration. I don't represent this slide. Michael Hübner presented it earlier, but this is also to explain that we have built our tools on this really process of creating, co-creating knowledge from data and information. And so what is the knowledge community? The knowledge community is a groupment of people. It's people working together. And so, of course, before the pandemics, it was also in physical meetings. And since 2020, we are more online. And the idea is to cover different aspects of the co-creation of knowledge to upscale also the project results. And so in the knowledge community, there is already a part on reporting. That's where the project report on their activities, and we organize formative evaluation so that a project get a good feedback so that they can even progress later, and they get also peer-to-peer feedback, so feedback from other projects on their results and advancements so that they can perform even better afterwards. There is also thematic knowledge creation and sharing in the framework of working groups. And based on this knowledge creation, two main outputs, overviews for expert on the knowledge of the projects, and this is what we call spotlights. And then we also produce policy briefs as a strategic recommendation for decision makers. The policy briefs of 2021 will be presented later this morning after the coffee break. And of course, the knowledge community is also a place for networking and matchmaking among project partners during events, and also on the B2 Match platform that you now know. The topics of the working groups for your interest are the following ones. So system architecture and modeling, storage and cross-energy carrier synergies, interoperability and standardization, regulatory and market development, consumer and citizen involvement, and regional matters. So this is how the discussion is thematically organized. And how does it work? It works that project partners talk together and also with other experts. So the working groups are open to also interested experts that are not necessarily already project partners. And they relate their knowledge to already existing reference documents that are, common reference document like directives or documents from the International Energy Agency or this type of documents. And so what happens is that these documents are selected in the framework of the working groups, so in a work between the project and the experts. And statements of these reference documents are selected that will be worked on, and then there is a discussion in the framework of this working group on this specific statement, so that projects can relate their achievements and their results to this statement. And of course, we link that to the process of the peer-to-peer sessions and the formative evaluation, because this is also where it is clear what the project have produced and how to link it to these selected documents. So we start this discussion in these working groups, and then this discussion is taking place in living discussion documents. And once a year, we do a snapshot of the status of the discussion, and we issue the two main outputs of the knowledge community. The spotlights that are so an output for experts, and the policy briefs more for policymaker or decision makers. Here is a bit more detailed what's the spotlights and the policy brief. In both cases, they relate to selected reference document, and the spotlights are an overview of the created knowledge at a certain point of time, and the policy briefs are an overview of recommendations from the project and external experts at a certain point of time as well. And so what happened since the creation of the knowledge community? At the moment, there are over 2,000 members in the knowledge community platform, which is called Expera. There have been over 50 working group meetings happening since 2015, and about 20 to 30 active members in each of the working groups. That changes, of course, with the length of the project and status of the project. And 5 spotlights and 5 policy briefs have been created also in the last, so each year in the last 2 years, based on the thematic topics of the working groups. And these achievements have been supported by the use of digital tools, and so in particular Expera, which I just mentioned, where this is all happening, and where you are also invited to register if you are not yet a member and want to see more of this work happening. And this allows us workspace for the working groups, but is also a place to give visibility to the results and the co-created outputs of the spotlights and the policy briefs. This is also the project repository with a lot of information on the different funded projects, and where the place for them to report. And then this is also an expert database if you want to look for different experts in your sector, or to make new projects, for example. And I have a problem with the slides. I don't know if you see my slides, but what I wanted to say is also these activities are supported by also the matchmaking platform that is also where you registered for this conference, and where you can also organize one-to-one meetings in the course of this conference, and all the different virtual tools that have been developed and that we use also since a couple of years now to make this also all happen virtually. So that's basically the end of this presentation, and I would like to finish with an invitation for you all to join also the day of tomorrow of the conference. This is the status conference, and there will be a presentation of the project results and the aggregated results of all the projects, but there will be also pitches of some selected projects. There are project sessions where each of the projects will present their own results, and in the afternoon there are working group meetings. So if you are not registered yet, or if you were not aware of this, I invite you to take part, because this is where you will really get a grasp on the actual and the specific project results. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia. Even if we couldn't see your last 2 slides, I hope that this is going to work. Otherwise, I can share some. Thank you for these insights into the knowledge generation process. The entire joint programming platform is a big innovation platform with deploying innovative tools and processes. But the one who takes it to the top is Jatta. So Jatta, please speak up. Tell us what's going on in innovation.
Thank you, Ludwig. And yes, let me just check that if I'm able to change the slides. No.
You cannot?
No, so I'm just seeing this one slide that Julia. Let me check.
Okay,
it's
now
going
it changes.
backwards. One moment. No, this is the last slide, the one we are seeing with these groups of working groups and results. I'm not seeing my slides at all.
Okay, let me try and help you. I share my screen and I show your slides, okay?
Okay. And then, Ludwig, how much time do I have? I think we are a little bit behind the schedule, so should I try to... Sorry?
10 minutes at the maximum.
10 minutes, okay.
Let me share my.
While you are starting the slides, Ludwig, just let me say, as I'm seeing a lot of many project participants in the participants list, I think it's important to say that we are taking the opportunity here at this joint programming conference to show what we as funding agencies and supporting teams are doing to support all of you. But it's very clear that, of course, our projects are the real heroes here that are doing all this work, applying to our joint cause. But I think from time to time, it's also important to show how much work has to be done in the background to support all of these.
Yes, thank you. And still there is some strange.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Now I share and you should be able to control it.
Yeah, let me just check how.
You did it.
Did I? I did it, yes. Very good. Now everything is working, so thank you. And sorry for the technical troubles. As said, I'm Jatta Jussila. I'm the Managing Director of CLIC Innovation from Finland. And as said earlier by the earlier presenters, we are part of the support team, been from the beginning. And I have now the pleasure of explaining you our impact-related activities that we started building in 2018 together with our network of associated partners. And yes, sorry, still some technical issues. Yes, and yes, in this I will explain the achievement that we have made in building the validation network with living labs and test beds, also another network with the digital platform providers, and then recently 2020 I think we started also a program called the Project Chains that is part of the impact creation activities that we have built in JPP SES. But before going through the achievements, I wanted to show you this slide about the background or about the basic idea that we have for maximizing impact with the projects. First of all, the three main ideas behind this impact creation. Let me see, I'm just not seeing my own slides, sorry. Are that we first of all want the projects to be able to create solutions that match the needs of the end users. And then, of course, we also want to ensure a complete innovation path from research to implementation, so that we not only generate research results, but we also implement the results in the society. And then the third goal in this impact creation activities is to engage, of course, all the needed partners to secure the deployment of the created solutions. So these three main goals have been the basic idea for us to figure out then the concepts for maximizing impact. And we have chosen the approach to cooperate with intermediates that are connected with, for instance, need owners, potential buyers, decision makers in different levels, innovation ecosystems in different regions and local communities, and also with follow-up financiers and supporters, and also with startup communities, for instance. And the first networks that we have built with these intermediates are the validation network that we have launched or started building 2019 together with living labs and test beds in different regions. And another network is the one with the digital platform providers. We also started building this network 2019. And then also during, I think last year, we started collaborating with ERIGRID. And also as part of our validation network, we have some test beds that are close to a technical lab. So we were thinking that it would be good to also have this network with more technologically oriented labs. So our approach is to collaborate and sort of connect with these types of different types of intermediates. And now some words about the achievements with our current networks. The motivation behind building this validation network with living labs and test beds was that we wanted to support our projects in finding partners for testing their solutions with real life customers or with real-life systems, so that they could receive important information about the technical feasibility and technical interoperability, and also information about the customer perceptions and customer acceptance for their solutions. We also realized that it takes a long time to build this type of living labs and test beds that are connected with the real-life environment. There needs to be trust built among the partners, and also often infrastructure. So in that sense, we thought that it would be better to connect the projects with already existing living labs and test beds rather than start to build them from scratch. So this is what we did, and this small picture just tries to illustrate the same that I already said, that we want this network of validation partners to support the projects in validating the outcomes of their research and development work. And here is the outcome. And now there is some window. Just I'm not even able to see. Yes, the total number is 79. We have currently 79 qualified members in this network from 23 countries. Most of the countries are European countries, but we also have, for instance, one lab from India and one lab from Thailand in the network, so representing the export markets for the European companies. And all these 79 partners, you can find their information on the website of JPP SES under partners. There is a description, and there is also a way to contact each of these living labs presented on the website. This year we have organized 2 workshops with these members of the Living Labs, a validation network, to jointly develop mechanisms, how to collaborate efficiently together and together with the projects. It's jumping over the slide, sorry. And next year we will continue. So we will continue, have 2 more workshops together with the validation network members. One focusing on sharing of citizen and end user engagement, validation experiences, and another about technical validation cases. So we are very much happy that we have very active members in the network, and very much believe in that we are able to create value for everyone with this network. As said, we also have another network called Digital Platform Providers Network, where the background lies in that there are many of these types of digital platforms or which work on various service levels, starting from physical components to high-level services and business application areas. But often these providers are either not willing to or eligible to receive this type of public financing that JPP SES, for instance, is providing. And we also realize that it's often quite difficult for projects to find suitable partners to support their R&D work. So then we thought that we could develop some mechanisms to give project consortia access to these existing and established digital platforms. And yes, then we started scouting this type of suitable platform providers. And we have now altogether 33 of them from 23 countries, also presented on our JPP SES website under partners, where you can find a contact information to all of them and a description of their service offering to the projects. And with these partners, we are organizing annual pitching events in connection with calls to support project consortia in finding suitable partners for their projects. And yes, I have almost used my time. So the third concept that, as I mentioned, that we have already developed for the impact creation is the project train program. But since today we are going to use the whole afternoon to go through this program, so I will not spend any more time here to explain what that is. I encourage you to participate in the session in the afternoon of today. But as also Michael mentioned already, that we are now going towards a new form of collaboration under the CETP. So we are now even building more networks to support further our activities in creating and maximizing impact. And we are going for regional and local clusters on innovation and business ecosystems, for instance. Also, we would like to engage more startup communities from different regions and also more global networks to our operations. And then this is my last slide showing the list of our associated partners, which are the ones we are collaborating with when building these networks. So thank you. A lot has been done and a lot will be done. And Ludwig, I hand over to you.
Really looking forward to that. And if you do me a favor, you give me back my control over my PC.
Oh, sorry. Stop controlling. I stop now controlling you.
Now we are back. Thank you, Jatta. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Sofia, for explaining what was the activities and what was the achievements from the coordination point of view. Next, we would like to hear some voices from JPP SES actors that have been involved in various roles, whether they be project partners or associated partners or supporters. Last night I saw this little nice picture, Michael. It's a young child aging from the age of 2, and what do they believe that this ERANET or the JPP SES would be at the age of 3? They get a bit of better clue. In the age of 4, it's nice, and it's walking on 2 legs, the funding and the knowledge management, and at the age of 6, it develops into something that you would probably call CETP. So we are stepping into this little nice picture of the age 6 or the age 7. But the ones that helped us making this progress in aging shall have a voice here. I do invite these people to show up on screen. I do invite Orsolya. She is a representative of the National Research Development Innovation Office in Hungary, and she is a member and a co-chair of our initiative. I do invite Przemyslaw, whom I can call Cem, that's easier. Komarnicki, he is a professor at the Magdeburg University, and we visited you, and you can explain how you liked our visit and our cooperation. We have Sanna Öörni from Finland, from VTT, a technical research center. She can a bit explain what the living lab concept means for them. We have Tereza Borges. She is from Lumenaza. You will explain what Lumenaza is, but this is a world-known software provider, and you are one of our digital platform providers. You can tell us what it meant to you to be a member of our family. And we have Fredrik Loeckx. He is heading Lux 50. This is Business and Regional Development Center, but you will explain to us. Let's start one after the other. There, you can keep your video on, please. But the row is, Cem, you start. I change the slides if there are slides. In your case, there is a slide, but Cem, you have to switch on your microphone.
Okay, thanks a lot, Ludwig. Welcome from my side to all of you. Thanks very much for the very nice picture. What I want to tell you, maybe from my side, after, let's say, some of projects that I have the possibility done with the ERANET or in this case the energy systems. First of all, I think on this stage we should be, or at least I would like to thanks to you, Ludwig, and all of the people behind you, really, to coordinate the system. Surely to Michael Hübner, generally to the European Commission, and last but not least to the national agencies, because I think through the years we have, or you have created or co-created a very big family. who is really working well on the energy transition. From my side, maybe give me the possibility to have some remarks. What I'm really thinking that this kind of collaboration and cooperation is very good in a different way. So first of all, in my opinion, since that years that I can join this, the ERANET has always chosen very well relevant topics. Yeah, so you can see, you saw on the presentation before what kind of topics during the year was done and what will be in the future. And I'm not only thinking that this was very good founding topics in means of the technology, but I think the program at itself is well done because he's only not oriented on the technical issue, but in the same way on the economical issue, and what is most important, also on this let's say a triangular issue like a social and let's say not technical and not economical things. I think this is even more important in the area of R&D and the energy transition, because like you know, the transition process is very complex and it's taking into account different kind of this. From the other side, I think that the program was still going and was very interesting because of the fact that we have one side different countries, different partners, business, research, universities, and so on, who try to define the ideas, the innovation idea, how to solve different problems. But what was very important for me and the partners who I'm working with is we have a different nations in meanings of the different frameworks of the market, of the different requirements. And based on this, it was able for us at least to develop some ideas who maybe at the beginning we don't think to adopt it in the another country, but at the end we find out this was the best solution because the market conditions there are better than we suggested at the beginning. So really this cross exchange for us and the possibility to exchange the idea and put it in another framework like regulatory or like a market framework was very, very amazing.
Cem, can I ask you something? You were involved in various projects. I remember the Regrid one.
Yeah.
And with the Regrid one, you earned the winner prize of the ISCAN, and they claimed that this was excellently developed because it took us really from the technological to the market to the peoples. Did you go on with that solution? I remember this solution with this virtual animation thing where people could learn if they will be bothered by the windmill or something. Did that go on somehow?
Yeah, sure. So this is what I also Ludwig mentioned or would like to mention short. Based on the ERANET, we are able to create really a product. Yeah. In this case, it was this Regrid software, this virtual planning for urban region according to the energy development systems. And to answer your question directly, this company who developed this with us, this is an industrial company from Poland. He sells it now in different countries all over Europe. So this is really a selling product based on ERANET, which was for us very important. But I think in several projects, not only in which I was involved, but in the another one, the combination between industry, between academia, between R&D, this was the crucial in case that we're looking on these three layers, Ludwig, like you mentioned, social, economic, and technological. And after, let's say, some projects, I think there is, in my opinion, there is two main points that maybe in the future programs should be take even more into account. So first one, I think in the presentation, in the last presentation, or at least by the initial presentation, this knowledge exchange was also presented, like Expera, for example. In my opinion, this should be in the future even more take some kind of obligation,
Mhm.
because I think there is the knowledge, but we have to share this knowledge even stronger than in Magdeburg in the picture, like you said. So this is a very important thing in my opinion, to really create some spirit to exchange the information, like I present you on the example, because I think we can really find the products in the different country if we know the idea from the other people.
In our Magdeburg meeting, the spirit was good. We were in your living lab in Magdeburg. We were creating slides and how JPP SES relates to the growing woods and so on. That was a good spirit and a good experience. And again, thank you. You wanted to say something about Smart Otaniemi, some sentences, and what is that?
This is
or is that already a slide to the speech of Sanna?
This is the speech of Sanna, but
this is Sanna. But can you comment on it? How do you like the picture, Jem?
I like the picture very well, Ludwig. What I see on this picture, this is really what I discuss as well. So we have to try connect different actors, different layers, different infrastructure, and always take into part economic, social, and technical side. But what I will only mention as last, if you allowed me shortly, I think from the operational side, I think it will be good if we can match these different national agencies even more, means on the time schedule. Yeah, because sometimes we have started the project, I will say in Germany in May and the other one in June. So this is a small things, but I think we have always exchanged also the possibilities of the optimization. But to summarize it from my side, I think really once more ERANET is very well, because it's international, because it's really living international with the transfer, create the products and take into part these three layers like I already mentioned, and catch always the very relevant and very important topic like energy transition and the details in this way. So thanks all once more for this. I will invite you to the Magdeburg. And last sentence, Ludwig, on this. You remember we meet us in the virtual reality room at the Fraunhofer, like you present, and we didn't know anything about the corona. Maybe next time we can once more going after we won with the corona to Magdeburg, because we built a new building now. So I will really invite you once more to Magdeburg.
We will come with or without corona, with 2, 3, 5, or 6 Gs. We will be there. I promise. Thank you, Jem, for giving us these insights. And I'm leading to Sanna and your picture, Sanna. What does it show?
Yes, hello, and thank you, Ludwig. Yes, I'm representing a Smart Otaniemi ecosystem or innovation environment. It is an innovation environment for smart and sustainable urban solutions where energy plays key role. We have understood and we have now recognized that we need better playgrounds for developing smart and sustainable urban solutions with people. And energy transition is more than technology revolution. It's about changing people's behavior and way of thinking. And it's also about changing company strategies and service portfolios. So we need real environments where we can solve real challenges. And these real challenges has to be exposed to the environments like cities, industrial sites, EV systems, buildings. You just can't design energy systems without and operations without integrating them to users.
You say you are representing this Smart Otaniemi? Do I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, exactly.
And I mean, how many people have been involved there? Is it that real people have been involved, or do they know what's going on, and how do you involve them?
Yeah, we are now ramping up the second phase of smart autonomy. So we started with 2018 with a smart energy innovation ecosystem.
Yeah.
And we have approximately 100 organizations that are in the co-creation community. We have done some early phase piloting, for example, with the sub-aggregator models, flexible energy systems, piloting smart EV chargings. And now the city of Espoo, which is the second largest cities in Finland, is leading this sustainable lifestyle lab or living lab for sustainable life. And we are now integrating the citizens and the people around the Espoo city to be and co-develop the new services like energy communities and EV charging services.
Sanna, how would that, or how does that work now in relation to our JPP SES? I mean, you have this is established, this has been operating for a while. If now, for example, Cem from Magdeburg comes and says, I have a great new tool, I want to use it, can I test it in smart autonomy? Will he be welcome?
Yeah, let's start with the definition of living lab. So I like personally a lot of this living lab definition, that they are user-centered open innovation ecosystems based on systematic user co-creation approach, integrating research and innovation processes in real-life communities and settings. And that's what we are aiming at. And we are now building with Aalto University and City of Espoo this co-creation. Make with Espoo platform, for example, is a nice platform where you can do this matchmaking. Of course, we need to kind of negotiate and like a case by case, as we know that energy systems, for example, the city systems, they are quite sensitive, and we need to carefully plan beforehand. But yes, this is open environment in that sense.
Okay, so let's see. So Cem will come to your living lab, and you will come with VTT to Cem's virtual animation something lab in Magdeburg. Orsolya, I didn't forget you. I wanted you to speak at the end. Is that okay for you?
Yes, absolutely. I'm
you can summarize then.
Exactly. I'm paying attention and then try to reflect.
Yeah. Next one I would ask Tereza. Yeah, you are here.
Yes.
You didn't send a picture, as I understand, but you can summarize from the point of Lumenaza what it meant or means to you to be a member. And I understand you have been involved in a project, and you are now a digital platform provider. Please comment on the two roles.
Yes, no, thanks, Ludwig. So first of all, just for the ones who don't know Lumenaza offers an energy as a service platform, and the main purpose of the platform is exactly enable new energy business models, right? And especially with a focus on green distributed resources. We create the conditions to remove barriers to unleash the power of very small assets. And here we are talking about ensuring clear origin, prosumer communities, smart tariffs, and take advantage of flexibility. As Ludwig mentioned, yes, we are at the moment working on the A&M for all, which is Active Network Management for All. It is a research project. We are working with B.A.U.M, with Lund University, the University of Arnhem, RISE, and with the municipality of Borges in South Sweden. And this is all about testing and exploring the possibility exactly for flexibility in a smart grid concept, right? And we, as Ludwig mentioned, that we are one of the digital platform providers. And we believe that it is very, very important to keep this close collaboration between research and industry. We believe that that's the way really to accelerate innovation and to tackle the big questions that we have to answer, right?
So your talking about cooperation, but on the other hand side, you are a business company. Just recently, I read that you had found big investors. They expect the return of investment, of course. So how would you give your service or your platforms or your digital pieces, solutions? How would you share that with other projects? Would you sell them? Would you give them for free? Or what does it mean for you to be a digital platform provider?
Yeah, so you're right, Ludwig. We are, of course, a commercial company, right? So we got 25 operating customers in Germany, and we are at the moment entering the Spanish market as well. And you are absolutely right. Our investors do expect return. But the way that we see is like the collaboration, the research projects allow us to be always ahead of the game, right? And then I wouldn't say that necessarily we would be somehow giving for free or asking for lots of money. I think that we look at each and every project based on what can we contribute and what can we achieve in terms of, you know, driving value for the research project, but also somehow helping us to move with our roadmap. So I think that it's to look to this win-win balance.
That does not necessarily mean that you need to be a member of a consortium and get funds. I mean, you can be with multiple projects if you want, right?
Yes, we can, right? And that's perhaps something that's what, in some sense, working with you here in the context of the JPP SES, it's one of the channels that we expect to have exactly more visibility and access to those opportunities.
So in 10 minutes from now, we will talk about future. I understand you will be with us, but you have a wish. It's soon Christmas. One wish to the future of the JPP SES, or how we will call it, CETP.
Wow. So one wish is really that, let's say, we keep having more and more, let's say, contributors join up the group, right? And we could drive really pretty innovative ways to collaborate, right? Because I think that's the secret for us to move as an industry, right?
Thanks
and
for these
help to solve the big problems of humanity.
Yeah, thank you, Tereza, for joining us. Next one I call is Fredrik. As I remember, Fredrik, I think we met 7 years ago when we started the JPP SES. You were there. At least I believe that you have been there forever. And you have seen a lot, and you always speak out what you think. Speak out what you think.
Yes, Ludwig, we were there at the very beginning. If I remember well, it was back in Copenhagen or something like that, that the GP, that the associated partners were presented. Yeah. So actually, to answer your first question on what is Flux 50, because that was what you started with in the panel discussion, so we're a cluster organization with around 220 members, companies, research institutes. And actually, we are, let's say, the ETIP SES in a small fashion. So we do create projects, facilitate projects on a Flemish scale, have a yearly budget of around 15 million euro that we give to the local ecosystems, also to cooperation projects. And we manage quite some living labs, proving grounds, how you want to call them, also on a regional level. And actually, I always start my presentation, because we are 5 years old, by presenting as a toddler who grew up very fast to an adolescent. And I think that in the energy system, we need to grow up very fast. So when I see the picture that you have shown in the beginning, I think that, yeah, actually you're already an adolescent looking for his future and looking for the space that needs to be taken in the new CETP scheme. And I wish to also show my gratitude for all the work that has been done over the past 7 years, and wish you a lot of luck already with the journey which still lies in front of you. Because I do need to say that when I take a look at what has happened within the ETIP smart energy system, you are working in a very complex environment, in a very complex in 2 times. You were working in a very complex energy environment, but also in a very complex innovation environment. And I would like to stress out on those 2 complexity aspects, because I do think that the ERANET has been able to manage that complexity quite well, and that there is still some room for improvement. When Michael started out this morning with his 10th slide, you can see a lot of stakeholders engaged in the ERANET and also in energy as a whole. We are present inside Interreg projects. We are present inside Horizon Europe projects. We are present inside ERANET, or our members are present within ERANET SES projects, and we have our own local environment. And from time to time, it's very difficult for us to see what is the most appropriate way to support our SMEs, our companies, our research centers throughout that labyrinth of different funding options. And I do need to say that the ERANET SES has its place over there, and that the way you're able to manage that complexity and align the different regional schemes, funding schemes, is quite unique and is very beneficial.
So you mean in this fragmented world of research, development, innovation in Europe and on national levels, it's easy to get lost. And what you admit is that we have been at least trying to somehow combine pieces. But you wouldn't be Fredrik if you wouldn't have a proposal how we should go on. What can we improve? Not only trying, you're also successful in creating that ecosystem of different regional systems. And when Michael is saying that he was amazed that there are 70 different funding agencies, and he called it a huge success to align all of them. Well, I don't find it a real success that we have 70 different funding agencies throughout Europe. And I think that cooperation also on that funding agency level would be very, very beneficial, and trying to streamline also all those regional funding agencies would be a very, how should I call it, important, but also very thereful next step to take. Because when you take a look at it from an SME perspective, the ERANET SES is not the most easy system to go into due to the fact that all the regional authorities have their own procedure. It's quite a lengthy procedure. It's a complex procedure that you're able to manage already quite well, and it was shown before. But I do think that when you want to engage more SMEs, more companies within the system, that you will need to work on that administrative burden and try to get the decision procedure even faster. I'm quite happy to see that almost half of the partners are from industry, but being an industry-led cluster, I would like to see that going up actually. And even if you want to go more into that living lab system and having going deeper into that impact section, you will need to have more industry present inside the consortia compared to the research centers. And making that triple helix work, that quadruple helix work, is one of the things that are, it's easy to say we created the quadruple helix, but in practice, I can tell you from experience that it's not that easy at all. And I do want to thank you for the way you put the enthusiasm behind creating that quadruple helix also on a regional European level, because that's quite important. We have to go on, Fredrik. Not today, hours of today, but there was quite some advice to funding agencies. Thank you, Fredrik. My pleasure. To funding agencies like yours, Orsolya. So he complained a bit about having too many funding agencies. I'm so happy that we have so many good funding agencies involved like yours. So what was your learning from the JPP SES in the past years? You, one of the valued chairs.
Thank you very much. Well, a lot of ideas came up in the last couple of minutes throughout listening to my panel partners. And I have to say also, while preparing for this session, I already tried to gather my thoughts around this, because if I can also relate to this image of the child growing up, I also feel myself like that, because I just joined the Hungarian National Research Development and Innovation Agency last summer, so that I am also part of this very valuable community of the JPP SES only for a bit more than a year. And still, it's been a very exciting year, and I've learned a lot. And then I tried to gather my thoughts linked to some reflections of what the others said before me. As for the JPP SES and how the funding agencies work together, I always felt like that this is not just purely partners funding RDI projects together, but as it was also said before, it's more like a family. So it's my go-to community when it comes to ideas, when it comes to knowledge gathering or finding partners. So on one hand, of course, it's finding partners for us as a funding agency, because as it was already mentioned before, the JPP SES community is living on, is developing also into the CETP partnership. But beyond that, there were many occasions regarding to other Horizon Europe initiatives or H2020 back in the time, when we could very efficiently work together. As for the project partners, I also have to say that we are very happy to support Hungarian stakeholders to find partners through this community. And reflecting now back to Fredrik's suggestion, I have to say that I completely understand that it's a very complex environment. And I myself also work as an NCP for Horizon Europe in the energy-related matters, and I often hear the same for Hungarian applicants or stakeholders, that the whole ecosystem is quite complex. But I think in Horizon Europe and already in JPP SES, we try to map all these different initiatives. We try to somehow provide an enabling environment for applicants, and we put a huge emphasis on interdisciplinarity, also in the sense of different funding sources, and how we can support, how we can, and later on during this conference, you will talk about the project chain ideas, and I think it's a very important part of that, and I had the luxury to talk about that in a different panel some weeks ago, that it's very important to support the family of projects. So how they can live on, and how different parts of the innovation journey can be supported from different sources. So I'm very happy to see that. And then beyond that, I think, and this also brings me to the last point, which I would make, that's about the knowledge we are creating in JPP SES, because I think it's not only, so there were a lot of different types of knowledge mentioned in the previous sessions, also regarding to the information produced for policymakers and decision makers, and that's also one important part, because we are a funding agency, but in the national ecosystem, we report back to the ministries, for example, who are the decision makers. So on one hand, we can use the knowledge learned here about the energy sector as such, and about RDI initiatives. We can report it back to the ministries, so the national policy making is also influenced by this. But beyond that, it's also about, for example, the call awarding process, or how we manage our program, because I'm working together with my colleagues in our office who are managing different ETIP-SNETs, not only in the energy sector, because we are a generalist agency, so we work in many different ETIP-SNET initiatives or the future partnerships. And I think we also need to look beyond our sector and think of the whole European RDI system as one. And we can share experiences and learn from each other also beyond.
Orsolya, I
Yes.
mean, you're a funding agency, but in a sense, you are also representing the organizations that you want to fund. What do they expect? Did you talk to these people? Is it SMEs? Is it universities? Or whom do you want to reach with our program, and how can we reach them? Is there something that we can improve in order to get hold of excellent partners for the RDI, in this case in Hungary?
Yes, so apart from being a generalist agency in the way that we fund projects across different fields, we are also generalist in the sense that we fund all different stakeholders. So we have universities, industry members, but also municipalities among our stakeholders. And one of our main goals is to disseminate the knowledge that we learn here, that we learn in Horizon Europe, in different programs, and to prepare them for successful projects, to prepare for successful innovation procedures. Because I think what we hear from them is, again, I can reflect back to Fredrik, and what I also hear a lot, that the whole RDI, European RDI system is quite complex. So we need more transparency among the different program elements. But we also need to, because I think there's a lot of knowledge available. We talked about knowledge generation within our JPP SES program, and what we as funding agencies can contribute to most efficiently is, I think, disseminating this information to our constituencies, to our stakeholders, because the more information and the more transparent and well-structured information is available, the more they can create their own knowledge from that. And I think that's very important.
So that was the perfect lead into the next session. Thank you, Orsolya. Thank you to all our companions de route that joined us for the first 6 to 7 years, Michael. Now I see that the commission has arrived. Mark van Stiphout is there. Let's step to the next part of the conference going ahead. Voices from supporting partners that want to go with us for the next 7 years. We have, and I hope we can see everybody, maybe everybody else switch off except these 5 people here. From right to left, Jatta Jussila, you have known her as a member of the support team. Now she is there as CLIC Innovation, who will partner in the CETP and so on. We have Paulo Partidario from Portugal. Paulo is in energy system analysis, innovation, and so on in the Portuguese Directorate-General for Energy and Geology, and he is also the head of the Scientific Council. And if I read everything that he is, we will go on forever. He is one of the most eloquent and most educated partners that you could find in Europe. Then next is Hjalti Pál Ingólfsson from Iceland. We met him when we joined forces with the Geothermica ERANET. He is leading that one. Paul is a managing director of Georg. I like that name. Georg is the geothermal research cluster in Iceland, and he also manages, as I said, the ERANET Geothermica. Then we have Emina Basic from the Swedish Energy Agency. Emina is also a senior advisor and a big supporter of the JPP SES and of course also for the CETP to come. And last but not least, Mark van Stiphout. Mark van Stiphout is the deputy head, still deputy head. Mark, you will correct me if this is wrong, of research innovation at the DG Energy in the European Commission. I read in your LinkedIn that you have been a member of the cabinet of Günther Oettinger when he was Commissioner of Energy. So you are a politician even. So from the point of view of the deputy head of the unit or from the politician, share with us, what do you expect to come? We have rumors that there will be a CETP. We have rumors that maybe the Commission will fund it. Let us know what's going on in Brussels. We cannot come visit you, but you are here. Thanks for coming, Mark. When you speak, you must switch on the microphone.
Yes, good point.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ludwig. Thank you very much to the for this JPP, to the Smart Energy Systems ERANET, for organizing this this extremely important event. And so very happy to be here and to say a few words about what's happening at the Commission level, and a pleasure to see you indeed, even though of course it would have been nicer if we would meet in person in, you know, exotic places in Europe like Namur. But you know, as long as that's not possible, we meet virtually, and I'm very happy that at least we go ahead and we can continue the debate. So maybe a few quick words about what's happening in Brussels and why what you do matters. I do not need to tell you that we have a Green Deal in Europe. We have an agreement and a commitment to be the first continent to be climate neutral and to be at the latest climate neutral by 2050. And that we also have an agreement to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by 55% by 2030. Which is, as you also know, a big increase in ambition compared to what we were still, so to say, working with or planning with a few years ago, which was just 40% CO2 emission reduction. And already at that point, 40% was considered a very high ambition. So, you know, 55% in 9 years is really huge. We have put a big pack of legislation on the table to basically help the market, the economy, the member states to make that happen. Going in, you know, in covering as many aspects as we can. The emission trading scheme, effort sharing between member states for the smaller sources of emissions, a carbon border adjustment mechanism, a renewable directive that is reviewed, an energy efficiency directive that is reviewed, and now we're preparing a decarbonization of gas directive to see how we can also promote decarbonized gases, in particular hydrogen, through a European market, and a review of the energy performance of buildings directive to see how we can still promote the renovation of buildings. And I think it's clear that we're talking more and more about one energy system where everything needs to move in the same direction, where in electricity we can integrate renewables relatively quickly and easily, and we've made great progress. But the challenges are also getting bigger. But if we look at other sectors like heating and transport, the increase of renewables has been lagging behind. So increased electrification is one of the solutions, which means that there is going to be even bigger constraints on the electricity system in terms of capacity needs, flexibility needs, the abilities to supply all this increased demand with decarbonized electricity. And that requires a much more flexible system. In particular, if we want to make sure that we can keep a competitive market to make all these investments in renewables. Because they need to be able to connect to the grid, they need to be able to produce when the sun shines or the wind blows, so that you can make the maximum of those value. But that all requires a huge change in the way we operate the networks. And that is not just a matter of electricity alone, it also means linking it better with heating systems like district heating systems, with storage facilities in other parts of the system like electrolyzers. So you will have a much more integrated energy system that needs to be managed also in a much more integrated and more real-time way. And I think this all shows that there is a real challenge for innovation in the grids and the systems. And this is something that, of course, we put high on the agenda through Horizon Europe. But Horizon Europe is not the only instrument. We also need to make sure that at national level these innovations happen. And I think the Smart Energy Systems ERANET is a great way of connecting these things. And because of course we can support projects, we can support innovations, but we need to make sure that they're also taken into the market. And this has to also go faster, because 55% emission reduction by 2030 also means that we have to really speed up the way innovations and good ideas basically enter the market as quickly as possible. So
Mark,
we are doing.
yeah, sorry, Mark, can I ask you a question? I saw you
Yes.
have been here when Fredrik was a bit complaining about this fragmentation, and you say something from the other side. You say we need that cooperation, we need this, others will call it sector coupling. Is that the idea behind these partnerships that are new in Horizon?
Yes.
What will the partnerships bring to overcome that fragmentation?
Oh, sorry, our phone is ringing. No, so indeed, I think that this is always a challenge at the EU level. At the same time, you want to make sure that the good ideas go ahead, that the innovations happen, but you also want to make sure that we all move together and we take a system approach. So how do we make sure that we link all these different things up and share ideas, share the best practices, and spread innovations as fast as possible? So I think indeed the partnership that you mentioned is one of the ways of making this happen, because it kind of solidifies in a much more structural way than we did before the cooperation between national and EU support, between projects that are supported at the EU and at national level. I think before, they were called ERA-nets, where we sometimes had a project here and a project there. I think we've been working in particular through the SET plan to give this a more strategic direction and also more visibility on what type of topics do we actually want cooperation on across the EU between member states, national projects and EU projects. And I think this has worked very well in a kind of decentralized way, again, if you look at splitting it up per different topic, but at the same time putting the strategic guidance over it of the SET plan steering group and the member states that sit together there to also identify on what topics they want to cooperate, and then support that with dedicated calls. And I think the fruit of that cooperation and of that many years of work and bringing things together is now coming together in the Clean Energy Transition Partnership, where there is suddenly a much bigger budget for this type of cooperation than we had before. And this budget comes from, we make a budget available, and we've committed to making 70 million euro available over 7 years for this, which is only 1/3 of the total budget that such a program would include. And I know that there is a request for an even higher budget. But if you look at the way that this has been managed now in a much more integrated way, in a much more strategic direction of where do we want to cooperate, and the fact that so many member states have committed to make funding available for such a program, I think is a success, a real big success of the SET plan steering group. The ERA-nets that have happened, the smart energy systems as one of the drivers into making also sure that all these projects are connected and giving it strategic guidance. And I think this is really a great achievement in terms of setting a structure so that we avoid this fragmentation for the future. So I think this is really very important from our point of view, and I think it's not the only thing that we do. Of course, I mentioned the SET plan steering group that will continue to give it guidance. We have working together with you in connecting the smart energy systems ERA-net together with Bridge to see national and EU projects work together. I mean, we're all in the end driving in the same direction. So if we can basically help each other to speed up, I think that's what we need to do.
We are in the same expedition. Thank you
exactly
for joining us. I don't know if you can stay for a while, but I have to rush a bit.
A few minutes,
running so late. But thanks a lot, Mark, for your insights, for joining us. Yeah.
Can I just mention one thing? One more thing very quickly, because our effort these days are very much looking into innovation in hardware and innovation in software. We had a seminar on low voltage DC grids, which is something where we're very interested in also seeing what's happening at national level. and on the other hand, on digitalization. So I think in digitalization, we have a public consultation open. So please have a look at that, all of you, if you have your view on it. And I would like us to have a further discussion to see how we can learn from the national projects in your ERANET to see, what they tell us about things that we need to do. I hope this is not the last time we discuss this.
Half an hour after the coffee break, we have a session about the National Stakeholder Coordination Group, and you know that we are liaising a lot with the ETIP and the springs and the bridges. So the family is growing. Thanks a lot.
Great. Have a good meeting.
There's only 5 minutes left for 5 people, but anyway, we will manage to do it somehow. I would call upon Emina first. Mark has pointed to overcoming fragmentation. When we talk, and you are also an architect of the CETP, it's not only a European issue, it's also taking us further, right? Including mission innovation and stuff. So where does the expedition go, Emina?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Ludwig, for invitation to participate in this interesting dialogue. And as previously colleagues mentioned, complexity of energy system. I'm not going to repeat all this complexity issue, and also I like from last session when Fredrik pointed out and mentioned quadruple helix model as a really important model to work on it with it in this coming 7 years in this program, and shift to the clean from JPP SES to clean energy transition partnership. But also, as you said, I want to really open up dialogue and make transparent this possibility to work together with the other partnership, but previously with the DUT partnership, Driving Urban Transition, which is closely linked to the Clean Energy Transition Partnership with this regional perspective, and integrate the regional authorities and cities in this context. And as we have heard, importance of regional decisions to make regional financial decisions and even policy decisions. Yes, we are aware that this is complexity not only in Sweden or in Europe, it's like a global issue, but I still believe that we have really good opportunity with this collaboration to help each other and to work together on this issue. And also I want to link to the mission innovation as a new mission cities, which is launched at the COP26 for 2 weeks ago, and that we have possibility to collaborate globally on this issue and together try to find out this connection, which is really important to link financial dialogue, financial instruments with the policy and regulation from the local and regional level to the global, European and global level.
Okay, so but when you say you refer to mission innovation because they are global or because they are very political, so why do you believe that it's so important to liaise with the mission innovation?
Because first of all, yes, of course, it's global platform, but we have opportunity to collaborate with the countries outside Europe, with the other countries, and even as a funding agencies and ministries have a connection and a collaboration from the governmental side, and even the actors, different actors from the countries have possibility to collaborate globally. And I would like to mention one of instruments also from mission innovation, which is going to be established much more, which we already tested and used in mission innovation 1.0 is MI-COS. This year we have MI-COS 21, which we use to really ERANET collaboration to link to the global and international collaboration with the countries in the mission innovation involved in mission innovation.
So mission innovation stands for a political, maybe I could call it top-down process, which is important, but it's not all. Here I think, Paolo, are you there, Paolo?
Yes, I am.
You are there. May I lead over to you? Maybe we get into a discussion even.
Sure.
When we were talking just recently, you said we need this top-down governmental political, but we also need the bottom-up. That was what I remembered you saying. So.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is very much about what Emmanuel was saying. The complexity has to be handled in a way that we can in fact have both approaches, and this is what is about complexity, and it is also about the momentum we got since Industrial Revolution, where silos, due to specialization, just developed in societies and in the structure of the management of each country, and so we have somehow to organize ourselves in a way that the participatory methods can in fact go as deep as possible to solve these silos, because as Mazzucato showed us, and that's it was very useful to structure the current R&D frameworks in Europe. I think we need in fact to have very cross-cutting approaches where we have to find out the best how can I say, the best mix for each context, for each country, and there the more centralized policies that are a translation from the more European centralized policy, they will have to be translated in innovation processes where the regions have a key role. I think this is crucial to solve this kind of issues. I would stop here. So
Mark said we are a bit in an urgency. We are in a hurry. I mean, how can we create a bit more pace, either on the top, bottom down, or bottom up? How can we create more pace?
I would like also to answer to maybe try to answer to your question, Ludwig, because we have good example in Sweden. For example, national program on viable cities is a strategic innovation program which we create to really to try to from the national level to work and combine this complexity, tackle complexity with this quadruple helix model and involve both citizens and cities in discussion, and not only to get additional funding and additional complexity in the program, but to really to make them to understand the problem from the beginning and involve them in the project from the beginning. And when I said from the beginning, already from the planning of the project and planning of the new cities and part of cities, neighborhoods, and to take all this issue and complexity in account, because we always do in our project tackle these problems after when we finish the project and after the technology development and after we already close the project.
Paolo, you are one of the architects of the CETP. How can we make sure that what Emina says happens in the CETP, that we get people involved, that we get the right stakeholders involved from the very beginning?
We need to be very successful in terms of percolating what we have been organizing as a main proposal, to translate that into each country in initial conditions, and work out different passes where we are being involving people, so that we can in fact, using the local conditions each country has to and the own strategies, to organize that and keep pace on what we have established, and on the goals, and also on all the disruptions. We have to manage these disruptions. It's about the complexity of changing, not forgetting always that even we mentioned, Mark was talking about hydrogen. I've been having this experience here. People have to understand that we have a blending of elements in the system that exist and others don't. And it means that we have, in fact, to take advantage of what exists and create synergies. I think that's the challenge of each country, and avoid always the trade-off effects, because we have always also the negative impacts of some decision taking. So we have to be very careful and have to decide after a very deep reflection. And we did that with hydrogen. Thank you.
Paolo, when you said local conditions, I remember that I had this picture from Iceland. This is a very local condition, Hjalti. Hjalti.
Yes, you can definitely say so, and this really reflects the heating and cooling sector, because the red glow there is a volcanic eruption behind the glacier that we can see in the front. So it's really
I mean, when we talk about managing it on governmental level, European level, member state level, regional level, I mean, you stand not only for the ERANET European-wide activity, but also for Iceland. I mean,
yes,
is it easier in such a small regional? Sorry if I say small and regional, I mean, I talk about Iceland, but from Germany point of view, this relates to one region. Is it easier to manage that on this regional basis?
I think, of course, working together in big groups is always good to have the cross-cutting issues and all that settled out, but we always have to be a bit focused as well, because if you go too broad, if you spread the butter too thin, you don't feel the taste, you don't get the effect. And I think that is really important to be sure that you have focus and you have strong line to work with, and you know exactly where you're going and why you're going there. And I think that is of course easier in smaller communities. But at the same time, it's also challenging to have things too small, because then you possibly lack some capacities or some resources and so on. So I think that's really important. And I think with regards to geothermica, as we have been operating geothermica since 2012, that's pretty focused on geothermal. And we have had 3 calls already, 2 on which are only geothermica call, and then the joint call with the SES on the heating and cooling sector, which is basically the blueprint for the CETP cooperation. At least that was our idea, to have that cooperation call basically to show us how we can broaden a bit our scopes and work together. And I think that has turned out to be quite successful until now. We had our eligibility check on the project 2 weeks ago, or last week basically, and we had some proposals. Of course, I expected to have more. And apparently the proposals are a bit geothermal focused. So there is a need, if we want to get this broader, then there is a need to bridge gaps and so on. But at the same time, be quite focused, I would say.
Hjalti, you're experienced project manager. I mean, when we talk heating and cooling in Europe, it's a bit the difference between Iceland and Sicily, right? I mean, how can we manage that these various and very different regions with different cultures, different natural environments, how can they somehow cooperate in such a huge program like the CETP that we are planning?
It's a challenge, to be absolutely honest. It is, of course, a challenge. We have very different approach, we have different scopes. But I think that what we need to think about, especially when it comes to heating, for example, is that half of the energy usage in Europe is for heating, and basically heating houses at 20 degrees. And it would not be a very good idea to only use electricity or gas to do this. So using the local resource of geothermal is very important. On the other side, we have cooling issues. There we can also use geothermal, for example, if we have that resource, you can use heat to cool. Just so that's also a possibility. But we also have other renewable energy sources like solar heating and electricity for heat pumps and so on. And getting these things together requires a lot of innovative thinking, strategy, and we need to be we need time to develop that for sure. And we saw that from our call this autumn, that we still have some work to do. And I'm running together with Gerti this transition initiative on heating and cooling in the CETP. And I think that we have a chance there. We have, if we do not lose the focus and we do not spread the butter too thinly. And this is going to be a challenge. And I have said that from the beginning of this CETP discussion, that this might collapse under its own weight if we don't think clearly and be sure that we don't lose the focus. And I urge you to all to think about that in this big corporation.
You said we need innovative tools and processes or something. You could also have said we need Jatta.
Exactly.
Jatta in our club stands for innovation, innovative platforms. Jatta, sorry, again, you are the last in the row, but I know you can quickly even a bit summarize what you have heard in this little session.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for presenting my nice slide there too. Yes, maybe then I have maybe 3 messages that I would like to now somehow summarize as a last speaker here today. Is first of all that I agree very much with the earlier speakers and also with Fredrik from Flux 50 from the earlier panel, that in order to succeed in driving the system transition and really make the clean energy transition happen, we need to involve the industries. We need to involve companies of different size, companies representing different industries inside the activities, inside the projects, inside the knowledge community activities, and also inside the impact network activities that we have been planning. And they are needed, of course, because we need them to invest, to make investment decisions. We need them to do their own R&D to develop their services and products and the solutions, the technical solutions on the market, and bring them to the market. And we also need the companies to make changes in their strategies. So it's very crucial, in my view, that we involve the industries in everything we do. And another thing is that, as said earlier, the clean energy transition is very much about integration. So that means that we have to integrate industries from different sectors, because the sectoral boundaries are vanishing. And since many of the integrations that we need, they are across. They happen. They need to take place across sectoral boundaries. So we should not be sector specific too much in our activities, but rather support or somehow encourage even projects to be cross-sectoral. And then a third thing that I wanted to point out is that in order to really make the clean energy transition happen and execute the transition, and not just sort of study what should be done and what could be done, is that alongside, in parallel with the research and development and innovation work, we would need to take care of that we also develop our education, so that we have workforce in Europe for the new energy system, so that it could also operate. And another thing is that in parallel, we would need to develop the operational environment, meaning shape the markets, meaning also, for instance, change the regulations so that it really supports the new kind of system and not sort of becomes a barrier for the change. So all these should be done in parallel. And also by international collaboration. In this picture, I mean international collaboration with countries outside Europe, because of course then in order for the world to survive from climate change, we would also need to bring the solutions that we have created to other export markets. So
quick
this
question.
is my main. Sorry.
Thank you. Sorry for interrupting. I'm
Okay.
running a bit quick question because I believe this is important. I mean, remember we had always these 3 layers: the technology, the markets, and the people. I mean, I understand that if we develop some nice technology in Europe, in Thailand, and you said in India, they most probably like it. The markets are different, but the people are different. How can we overcome these cultural differences? Can we develop solutions here in our, say, CETP world that also fit the needs of the people in Malaysia, in Tanzania, or where you are?
I think we would need to engage parties from those surroundings, so from those countries inside the projects, or at least do some validation work together with some living labs in India, for instance. As said, the needs of end users are different in different, and then also, of course, the regulatory environment is different in different countries. So we can develop, but we have to engage people from those areas in our work. That is.
And you plan to do so? You plan to do so in your part of the CETP?
Yes, and we already have, for instance, in the validation network, we have living labs participating from India, from Thailand, as I showed you. So yes, it is of course necessary to also engage partners from those regions.
Thank you. The agenda says that I have 5 minutes to wrap up. Wrap up is thank you. And we lost 15 minutes on the way. We can also say we won 15 minutes because we got a lot of excellent information from all the participants that look back and they look forward, and you definitely earned a coffee break. So we will be back at 11:30, please, for the next session. Then we are only 15 minutes late. But I understand that Katarina wanted to invite you to schedule more meetings in the B2Match. Can you quickly tell us how that works?
Sure. Just very quickly, as a normal or physical conferences, you can mingle with other people during the conference, and you can do that here as well. When you're logged in B2Match, you can go on the top to participants, and then you can click on the name of the participant. It's a participant list, and next to the name there is a send a request button, and there you can choose a specific date and time. It doesn't have to be right now or during lunch break, and then the other person has to accept your request, and you can manage it also on a button next to in your menu, which is called meetings. And the meeting itself will be carried out in our integrated online tool, so you do not need Zoom, Webex, or any other tools.
So thank you. You either catch a coffee or you catch a seat in a bilateral session. If you are really fast, you catch both. But please be back 11:30. See you later.
Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you too. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Welcome back. Problem with these virtual meeting rooms is that you don't see if people are really back. Can some people quickly switch on their videos and then switch off again? So I have a feeling that there are people out there.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay. You convinced me. Many are back.
Indeed.
And I saw the most important one. I saw Michele De Nigris because he has to give a speech soon. And I saw Dorothea, she has to give a speech soon. And Antomonti is arriving for the panel discussion. So we are in quite good shape. thanks for coming back for our next part of the session, partnering with the National Stakeholder Coordination Group. Stakeholder what? We will learn about that. Those that don't know it, we have an agenda. First of all, we will have Michele Denigris speaking about what is NSCG all about. Then we have Dorothea Brockhoff speaking about what is the relation of NSCG and JPP SES. And then we have a lively panel discussion. What does it mean to have an NSCG, or what would it mean if it would even improve? But we also want to involve you, the audiences, and there's a nice little new tool. And I don't know if it's Alisa or who will explain how it works.
Yes, I will explain how you will all have the opportunity to answer some questions throughout the conference and share your opinion with us. And we will use the interactive tool Slido. And if you joined the conference in the desktop app, you should now already see on the right-hand side the Slido interface loading. And this might take a little bit. And so if you see the interface on the right-hand side, you can then just answer the questions right in WebEx. And the second option would be that you take your mobile phone and scan the QR code, and then this directly brings you to Slido, or you join via the browser on slido.com. So then we will start. For now, we only have one question, and which you will.
So, Alisa, the first question is on already, right?
Yeah, so you can now type in your answer either in WebEx, or you join on the phone or in your browser.
Okay, it works. Amazing. So, Michele, this is what people think it is.
Yes, good morning.
We let them go for a while, so you get an impression of how much people know about your organization. This, while you are typing, let me introduce Michele. For such a conference, you used to ask people, how should I introduce you? And I, of course, asked Michele, how should I introduce you? And he said, introduce me as a husband and father, a systems integrator, working in global context, trying to streamline everything. And by the way, I'm a pilot. That helps if you are on global mission. But as far as I know, and Michele, we are friends since long, we know each other, you are definitely involved in all relevant groups, whether they be on European, Italian, or global level. So if one can manage to create this big glue between all these worlds, that's you, Michele. So tell us, share with us what is NSCG and what are the latest ideas of how to and where to develop the NSCG.
Thank you very much, Ludwig.
Go back to sharing the slides. Wait a second, please. You have sent some slides. I show them for you if you don't mind.
Yes, I don't know if I shall manage the slide advancement or shall
I can do it for you.
Yeah, anyhow, it's only very, very few slides to try to explain and to try to interact with you about the National Stakeholders Coordination Group, which in fact is not a new organization. It's not even an organization. It is an initiative, we can say. And I have been one of the persons who has answered the question, and my answer is link. So you can see it in the Slido. So the National Stakeholders Coordination Group is a sounding board. It is an exchange platform for different stakeholders in the area of smart energy systems and networks. The idea here is that we all want to contribute to the objectives of the set plan with the specific reference to the set plan Action 4. Action 4 means the development of the European integrated energy system, which is reliable, which is resilient, which is affordable, which is efficient. So this is the main goal that the National Stakeholders Coordination Group wants to contribute to, exactly in the same way as many different initiatives want to contribute to. So what is new out of that? In fact, the idea of the National Stakeholders Coordination Group is to try to make the link among the different platforms working on the integrated energy system aspects. So each platform has its own approach, each platform has its own stakeholders, each platform has its own programs, priorities, and so on. So there is a link, so there is a risk. Even if all the set plan is integrated and is organized in such a way as to avoid the silos, there is a risk that these silos reappear in terms of organization, in terms of initiatives. So what we want to ensure is the fact, for example, that the very advanced knowledge platform that we have been listening to this morning, that the 3 layers of approach, that the building knowledge out of the information, out of the data of the project, be something that can be shared among the different initiatives that are presently acting in the field of the European integrated energy system. So we want to bring together the different initiatives, but also the different stakeholders. So at a European, at national, and at local level, to bring together the policymakers, the funding program managers, the research institutes, and so on, in such a way as they speak together, they contribute through the different initiatives to an overall discussion about some interesting aspects. And if you go to the next slide, I want to show you the fact that this is not completely, we are not speaking out of the blue. The National Stakeholders Coordination Group exists already since some years, and some initiatives and some results have already been achieved. For example, in a joint understanding and in the joint trying to collaborate in understanding the regulatory sandboxes, the concept, the boundaries, and 3 examples of regulatory sandboxes have been discussed in time during the development and during the work of the NSCG. Energy communities has been another aspect, and I think that as far as the world is changing very quickly in this respect, several new activities need to be undertaken in that respect. So renewable energy communities, citizen energy communities have been aspects of discussion. Self-consumption, so the use of PV, the direct use of PV and self-consumption has been also one of the arguments and one of the subjects of joint interest in the community of the National Stakeholders Coordination Group. Last but not least is flexibility. Of course, as far as we want to address more specifically the link between the global and the European level and the local level, focus has been given to the local flexibility market, and this is the way we want to go further. So in the next slide, we just want to somehow identify a position of the National Stakeholders Coordination Group. As I told you before, there are many different European innovation platforms, the ETIPs, for example. We also have the ETIPs are mostly focused on industrial actors. So they bring together different stakeholders, mostly managed by industrial actors, by network operators, and so on. And they identify what are the main priority research needs for the future, for example, European calls, but not only. On the right, on the top right, you have the implementation working groups. The implementation working groups are mainly driven by national policymakers, by ministries, representatives, and so on. And they look at the national priorities and the priorities that the different countries have in funding their own national projects or integrated projects among different countries. Nowadays, both of these types of initiatives have developed and develop implementation plans. Nowadays, the implementation plan of the IWG4 dealing with the integrated energy system for one part is already completely aligned with the implementation plan of the ETIP-SNET. In the effort that is somehow linked with the National Stakeholders Coordination Group to try to have joint ideas and common understanding of the things. Bottom left, you have the national and the regional energy clusters and programs and the future clean energy transition partnerships. So in this role of a sounding board, of exchange platform among the different initiatives, the National Stakeholders Coordination Group is somehow what we with Ludwig call a floating boat, navigating across these different harbors to try to make the link and to get the best out of the different experiences from the different initiatives.
Michele, quick question. I mean, the name is national stakeholder, but you have also been referring to regional. I don't know if you have been there when I had a nice chat with Hjalti, whether Iceland is a region, a nation, or what. What is the relation in your sense between regional, national? What does it mean now?
Well, from the integrated energy point of view, of course, it means always less but it has each portion, we can say, of the system, and each portion of the problem has got its own specificities and its own research needs. What we want to do, we are perfectly aware, and this is why the implementation plan of the IWG4 is perfectly aligned on the top part with the ETIP-SNET, that the pan-European system is in the hands, of course, based on the policies of the different member states of Europe, the new Green Deal and things of this kind, is in the hands of the network operators and in the hands of the top level, we can say, technicians. While you go lower in the scale, we can say, in terms of energy, of course, the role of the people, the role of the society, the role of the local aspects become always more important. So this is why it is important that, yes, and the energy communities, you are correctly mentioning this and highlighting this, is becoming of great importance, and it has its specificities. So the National Stakeholders Coordination Group wants to go and to reach also not the interest, but at least the priorities, the needs, and the point of view of also the local initiatives, and possibly also of initiatives at local level that do not only deal with energy. You can have synergies between the energy system and the energy-related initiatives and other local initiatives. Think of agriculture, for example, when you speak with about biomass, and when you speak about local development.
Yeah.
So the idea is to bring up these interests and these knowledge and these we can say local initiatives to give them European value, but also to bring down to the local initiatives what is happening at European and at global level.
Remember, I don't know if you remember when we were sitting over the last red wine, we talked about systems of systems. So the entire European system consists of a system, consists of systems of systems of systems, and down there you are at some point of time on a regional or local level. And the NSCG tries to manage up and down in this vertical, I wouldn't call it silo, but at least vertical labels or levels of activity. So
yes, probably in the acronym, what is probably less strong is the coordination part, because the NSCG wants to be a sounding platform, an exchange platform, does not want to go on top of the different initiatives. It is a way of working together.
Maybe you have to rebrand it.
Oh yeah, perhaps. Who knows?
But we will listen to the audience, what they believe the NSCG should do. And we have a panel discussion. They will tell you.
Exactly. And so in fact, what we want to do is we want to organize discussion among these different levels. And we want to have discussions about aspects, about subjects that are of common interest for all the different initiatives, and we will see some of the examples. But where do we get these examples? For one of the frameworks, we have it here. This is the joint program platform on smart energy systems. And for example, one of the roles of the support team, to which fortunately I also belong, of the JPP SES, is favoring the dialogue and the extraction of key exploitable results, collaboration, innovation approach among the different projects that are monitored. This is carried out through working groups, through knowledge communities, through policy briefs and recommendation. And we want to use also this very important layer and this important background also to bring to other initiatives some interesting aspects on which to discuss and on which to also extract some ideas and some contribution.
So these policy recommendations that we create in JPP SES, policy briefs, we always first send to the NSCG, no, to the steering board, then to the NSCG. So this is a source of information for our audience. Please give us a chance to present to you the latest version of the policy briefs. Dorothea Brockhoff will do that. She is the master of helping the knowledge community to create the policy recommendations. So quick run through. What are the policy recommendations of this year or the last year, so the last 12 months at least? Your turn, Dorothea.
Thank you. Yes, of course, as most of our activities, it's also a teamwork here in this place, most importantly also with the projects and other experts of the knowledge community. But yeah, let's have a look at what is behind that. So you heard it already. It's the knowledge community with the projects and further experts involved who, based on their expertise, come to recommendations not only for policymakers, also for those who take decisions in funding programs, in ministries, in legislative processes, or in industry. Yeah, and we are glad to present it today to all of our listeners and also some NSCG representatives, because yeah, you are the ones
who are addressed in this process. My colleague Julia Chenut has already introduced you to how this works within the working groups with our platform. We have a look at also external input in terms of reference documents such as meta-studies or directives, and then discuss those in the different working groups to come to joint conclusions. We have heard it, the topic of smart energy systems is not really one topic, it's quite complex. And so our approach is that we have this different working groups who focus on different topics within the smart energy systems to get into the exchange also in a more deeper level project. And there's many projects, many funded projects who are actually active in a few of the working groups, because most tackle some of the topics that are reflected in the working groups. So what do the policy recommendations look like? Here we've got like a really short form of presenting recommendations. These ones are a selection of those compiled by the Storage and Cross Energy Carrier Synergies Working Group. And you can see that there's also some variety within the working group. So some focus on single technologies such as low temperature district heating, or on the contrary, there's other recommendations which target the holistic perspective. For example, this first one, which asks for planning energy systems holistically across different energy carriers and sectors. Now, these recommendations are quite short, and to give the recipients a more detailed understanding of what the projects or the other experts of the knowledge community mean, there's also some documents that you can download where there's a little more of an explanation. For example, here we see the recommendation to develop and adopt common ontology in architecture. And then in that executive summary that you can download, you can find a little bit of an explanation that, for example, when looking at what could be example for this common ontology in architecture, the working group recommends the extended smart grid architecture model and also the harmonized electricity market role model. So as far as possible, the working groups also provide here some more food for thought and hopefully even for action, so that you can maybe forward these recommendations or take some action yourself to move on for the transition. There's also the working group of regulatory and market development that has developed their recommendations. We see that here the energy communities topic has received a lot of attention this cycle, this last year of development. And if we look closer, then we see that this working group has looked into which support schemes could there be in terms of regulation and market. So for example, they demand special grid tariffs for shared energy in the energy communities, or for example, auctions specifically for renewable energy communities. Also a second recommendation here, it's quite interesting here that they also ask for more collaboration between the different actors. For example, here the working group asked for implementing regulatory sandbox programs, and that the research projects get actually to collaborate and engage with the regulatory authorities to find approaches together that work in the development programs, but that also work with the regulatory frameworks. Another topic that came up here from the working group, consumer and citizen involvement, is the topic of data management. If we look closer into the first recommendation, integrate consumers smartly and consciously, we see that here the projects have, and other experts have recognized that it's still a challenge to, on the one hand side, find data that can be exploited, that's necessary for the smooth operation of the energy system when integrating the consumer more closely and allowing more active participation for the consumers, but to exploit this data in a way that it's also to the benefit of the user and with minimum bothering, with maximum comfort for the user, and also safeguarding his data privacy and personal rights. And that's still a challenge that where we will continue the discussion and hopefully also find further approaches from projects on how to tackle this issue. Last but not least, a small peek into the recommendations of the working group regional matters. Here we see once again the topic of energy communities received quite some attention, and here it's then not from the regulatory and market perspective, but the same topic from a different angle, from those of the regional actors and opportunities on that level. So here the focus is on the local energy communities and how there can be an overarching framework which on the same in the same time allows to cover different models or concepts which actually also are considering and can be implemented in the different local contexts. So that was a sneak preview. You're very welcome to join us on Xpera, also to have a look at even more detailed background on the single recommendations of the different working groups, and also share our recommendations with your networks. If you do so, you can even participate in a short survey to let us know where our recommendations ended up. And on our website, you'll find also an executive summary that you can share and download. And we are looking forward to the discussion of the recommendations. You can comment on Xpera if you'd like to, and if you want to get even more insights on how the policy briefs are generated and what the process looks like. You can also join us tomorrow for our knowledge community meeting in the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorothea. When you presented, it looks so nice and easy, but there is a lot of work behind that. And thank you for guiding us and the entire community to these annual recommendations. Thank you for that. Now, Michele, you listen. We have invited some people that may or may not have an idea of what NSCG should be. We have the audience as well. And towards the end of the next session, we will ask them, what do you believe should be on the top ranks of the discussions or processes for the NSCG? But for the time being, we invited these people. We will ask one after the other, and in some cases we will dig a bit more into the details. We have people from ETIP, that is Jano Kocigler. We have people like Luisa, who represents the Centro para el Desarrollo Tecnológico Industrial in Spanish. Okay, you forgive me, Luisa. We have Mario Dionisio from the Commission, and I'm checking if he is here, because I would ask him first to share his ideas about the NSCG. Mario, are you on board? Mario? Mario is not. Yeah, here, Mario. I have a name already. I don't have a picture, Mario.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you. That is perfect. That's a good step forward.
Fine, good. No, it's hi. Just to check, because I have had quite many technical issues, but good thing that I'm connected by phone, but still I'm connected.
We show your face. We show your face and you speak. Mario, you don't have much time, I understand, but you still can you share your opinions or your ideas about the NSCG from the point of view of the Commission?
Yes. So as I see, it is a good initiative, which is not only to make a link to coordinate these many other entities, such as the implementation group of the work, the set plan, and the ETIP and ERANET and so on. I think it is a group which is more active, so doing really concrete activities among these groups and trying to put them together at local level. Now, I didn't have the opportunity to listen what was said before, but in my view, this is very important, because going at local level, it is there. The main action can happen at local or regional level. So if this is, we're working also on this in this sense, and as mentioned, also referred also Mark during his intervention. We're working on many topics related to initiatives that can happen clearly a global, but also on a local level, and here you have a key role. And for instance, we had this workshop webinar on low voltage DC, which finds wide part of application at local level, and there I think you are the mean to transfer this information at local level. It is important that this happens. It goes from the central part to at local level to have a more a higher dissemination. I don't know if you need more information about this. Otherwise,
no,
I can go on.
Can I ask you a question? I asked Michele, what is national, what is regional, what is local? You are also using the term local. I mean, in your opinion, how big is a region? What is a region in Europe? Is this a city or a village or a nation, or what is it when you talk about local?
No, when we say regional, we do not refer a specific regions on the map. I think it is meant from our view, from let's say the grid point of view, it's meant as a region which can be from more than one member state, one country, which has an interest in relation to some activity in relation to grids, in relation on local energy communities, etc. So this is meant local. They can happen also that these local communities are in one, only one member state or country. It can happen, but it happens as well that it can take more than one country. So this is why it is.
You are working for the Commission. You are working for the Commission, and the Commission has a lot of channels, communications, etc., to reach out to the regions and local entities. What would be the biggest benefit in your understanding of such an NSCG group? How can they help you in the Commission?
I think the main aspect giving support, I think, is the fact that they know already they're involved also in other initiatives, so they know very well what are the topics, and in this sense, it can this action of promoting is facilitated. It's easier, I suppose. Yeah.
Okay, so they understand, they have a good outreach, and they are linking the roads. So I guess you can stay for a while. Can we come back to you? Can you stay for a while, or do you have to leave?
It looks like the connection works, so I can stay for a while. I will remain.
Okay, then let's go on. You can come back. We have other people on the panel, and we can ask each other as well. Next one I would call is an opinion from Luisa Revilla. Luisa, I mean, you have been promoting a lot the idea of the NSCG. Why?
Okay. First of all, can you hear me well?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, thank you. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this event, to this session. A very, very brief words about CDTI. CDTI is a public entity that belongs to the Ministry of Science and Innovation in Spain and is the Spanish funding agency for business innovation at national level. Here in this, I am representing CDTI in the National Stakeholder Coordination Group, but I am also involved in other different groups related to the smart energy system. I am involved in the implementation working group number 4 in the framework of the Testbed plan. CDTI is also involved in the joint programming platform of the smart energy sector. So at national level, we are involved in different initiatives. For us, if I would like to comment here some reflections on how to improve and how to promote collaboration between member states, European Commission and other stakeholders in the framework of this group, National Stakeholder Coordination Group. The first point that I would like to mention is the need to avoid duplication, to avoid to do the same things in different groups. And I'm referring to differentiate as much as possible the objective of the different groups that are working in the same fields. And I am referring to this group, National Stakeholder Coordination Group in the ETIP-SNET, also the group of the implementation working group in the framework of Testbed plan, the knowledge community in the framework of the joint programming platform. So it's important for us as member states to differentiate well the different roles of member states in the different groups and also the different objectives of each group. The second point for us, in order to improve the collaboration, is to this group of National Stakeholder Coordination Group could be a very good forum for discussion and for learn each other in different issues. And for us, it's very important to have two approaches, no? A top-down approach in which topics for discussion come from other initiatives, bridge initiative at European level or from the European Commission, or another, the approach of bottom-up, in which a member state can propose a topic of interest for them, in which and they can learn from how this issue of interest are working in other countries. For us, for example, was a very good experience in this National Stakeholder Coordination Group, the learning that we had with the sandboxes initiative, because for us, it was an initiative that had been not implemented in Spain, and but in other countries, this initiative was very well implemented, and we can learn about how the boundaries, the concept, how to implement this initiative. And nowadays, this is sandboxes is something that we are going to implement it shortly, very shortly, because it's of interest for us. And the third point that I would like to mention here is that I am representing CTTI in different forums, but you know, CTTI is a funding agency for innovation. So we are not exactly policy makers. We implement policies from our ministry. So we cannot, in this group, link with other departments in our ministry, and even with other departments in other ministries, in order to place the adequate people in the different forums, no? That can take this decision and can take more opportunities to participate. And also, finally, I would like to mention here the importance that in this group not only is represented CTTI in the National Stakeholder Coordination Group, but also here is involved the FutuRed. That FutuRed is the Spanish technological platform on energy grids, electrical grids. This platform integrates all the Spanish entities that is involved are working in this sector. And for us, this platform at national level works very well. And for us, it's very important the participation also of this platform in this group in order to create more added value.
Luisa, you have been mentioning the topics that you are interested in. This is what Michele has shown for today, and we will have some input on these three: data management, harmonized electricity market model, energy communities. Which one is most important for you in your region, in your country?
Yes, for example,
is there something missing that you would expect that NSCG touches?
Okay, for example, for us, energy communities is one of the issues that here we are discussing internally with different ministries, with the stakeholders at national level, how to implement it, taking into account the European regulation, but also our national regulation. So for us, this issue is of great interest. Another issue could be, for example, things related to flexibility, technical flexibility, not only market flexibility, but also technical flexibility.
Okay, we selected for today data management because for whatever topic, data management is a cross-cutting one. I hope you don't mind, Luisa. And we also take the opportunity. Thank you, Luisa. I lead over to Janoko. Janoko, also again, if I would present Jan Oko's career, it takes hours, but today he is the head of the market strategy in Enel Global Infrastructure and Networks. But this is not his mandate today. Today he speaks as the chairman of the ETIP-SNET. And I asked him to introduce what his ideas are about from the point of view of ETIP-SNET. What is NSCG all about? And I take the opportunity because I know that you know a lot about data and data management, that you also introduce the first topic that we want then to discuss. So you sent some slides, Janoko, your turn, presenting on what are the ETIP-SNET goals and mission. It's highly animated. I hope I can anticipate a bit which part of the screen you want to see.
Thank you, Ludwig. Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be with all of you. Yeah, we'll keep it short because there's so many stakeholders all over Europe discussing these subjects and trying to coordinate, as we see today with this National Stakeholder Coordination Group, that we have to leave space to many people to discuss this. Just a brief introduction. As Michele rightly said, there is the ETIPs steering more or less the research and innovation efforts for the energy system. There is 10 of those. So ETIP-SNET is only one. So European Technology and Innovation Platform for Smart Networks, that's us. But we alone gather 350 experts. So yes, you can go along, Ludwig, because exactly that is basically information. Just to say that we then divide into actually now 5 working groups with specializations. The SNET, the Smart Network, stands for TSOs, or Transmission System Operators, DSOs, distribution, storage, and then obviously we link with the entire community, with renewables, with heat and cooling, with the other ETIPs, and we have to coordinate at level. The next slide, please. So what I wanted to underline here is that obviously, although we work together at the European level with experts from every country, we have some regional aspects included. We have regional conferences. There is countries where the regional aspect is stronger than in others. So for example, federal nations like Germany or research institute networks. Next slide. So that just to say that we already try to tackle also national and regional aspects. Our deliverables in terms of all the inputs coming from the experts, they basically shape a vision 2050, and then that is split into 10-year plans, which are the roadmaps, regularly reviewed, the same for the implementation plans, which cover 4 years. Next one. Yeah, so this is the research. It triggers 6 research areas, but the one we wanted to address today with Ludwig is specifically, you can go forward, regarding advanced data management. And that is because right now we are facing the real challenge of the energy transition for transmission system operators, DSOs, prosumers, aggregators, flexibility service providers. We all need to have a real-time dialogue amongst each other in platforms, using intelligent platforms. So there is Horizon Europe projects tackling this issue, like Platone, to name but one. There is ETIP, our working group 4, addressing the big idea, like a one-stop shop for all these stakeholders to dialogue in terms of energy markets. But there is also at national level in several countries these flexibility platforms being developed, but they are only a part of the larger picture. So basically, you have at the national level the TSO platform, market platform. Then you have for each single distributor his own market platform that is linked to a technological platform, possibly for the DSO, in order to allow him to optimize the management of all the assets. And that is linked again to all the prosumers, consumers, and as I said, aggregators and so on. And all this information is big data management, blockchain instrumentation, Internet of Things. And that's why, as we show here, this is the crucial subject of the immediate future. It's called digitalization, but basically the scope of digitalization is to have this real-time dialogue amongst all stakeholders of the energy system.
Janoko, before we dig a bit into what NSCG can help here, I had the opportunity to moderate a session in the ETIP's regional workshop recently on data, and there people claimed that it's nice to give the data to your local utility or DSO, but how can you make sure that this data doesn't end up in bloody marketing organization that bothers me with advertising then? I mean, is there a reason for people to be suspicious about what happens to their data?
There definitely is, and that's where issues like GDPR come in, or cybersecurity, or possibly the split between the platform of advanced data management I just managed, which is basically a blockchain platform, from a separate registry of flexibility service providers. So we have to make sure that this only happens with a consensus, obviously, from the givers, and that there is no mishandling of data. That is a very, very difficult task, because you have to manage that from bottom up, from the prosumer's input all the way up to national or even European scale platforms.
in this other workshop, we were discussing that people in various parts of Europe have different willingness to give their data. We were talking about donating data, like donating blood. And so do you believe that there's different approaches to, or that has to be different approaches to dealing with data in Europe? And at the same time, would it then be something that the NSCG could help coordinating somehow?
That is a very good, more than question, I would say even topic, because trying to harmonize will be key here. Otherwise we will have different implementation at different national, if not regional or even local level. But obviously it's up to the users, the communities, the stakeholders altogether to define which data and up to which amount of detail to make available to third parties. All this, though, is going to be regulated. So that's the good news about the distribution, for example, is that it is definitely a regulated market. So the rules of the game are being defined together with other stakeholders, not last but not least with the regulators. And that means that will prescribe which kind of data categories will be diffused to what kind of stakeholders. And that has to do a lot with the newly implemented EU DSO entity, for example, which is the Association of European DSOs, that will have to write the network codes and define these rules of the game for data management as well.
It's also about the question who owns the data. I mean, at the end of the day, I own my data, but I have to give it to somewhere, and who operates with my data? This probably, I don't know, is it data warehouses, or at least different actors deal with my data? And that takes me directly, thank you, Janoko, to our next topic. And I call upon Antonello Monti, professor at RWTH, working with Fraunhofer Gesellschaft, and also one of the big players when it comes to developing the new energy system in Europe. And you happen to be the head of the Platone project, Anto, and in the Platone project, they took the step to contribute to the new organization, the new role model of the future energy market, or at least electricity market in Europe. So you sent some 2-3 slides. Please explain what is MREM all about.
Yeah, please. Thank you, Ludwig. Thank you, first of all, for the very nice introduction. Yeah, very quickly, maybe go directly to the next slide. This, as the slide says, is an exercise developed within the Bridge project. And the idea has been to put together several projects that are part of the Bridge initiative and to have a look at the original document developed by ENTSOE, in which these role models were defined, and compare the input coming from the NTSOE with the experience that we are doing within this set of European projects. So that's not to say the NTSOE exercise was wrong or whatever, but the idea is we are moving forward, we are learning while we do research projects, so we need to constantly look at the conclusion and be ready to review whatever was concluded before. If you go to the next slide, yeah, here is exactly this exercise that we did, started from the NTSOE definition. First of all, analyzing the roles as they were proposed and maybe proposing update. But what I think particularly interesting is that, and going in the direction of all the topics you just mentioned, the need of new roles. And if you go to the next slide, I think what is interesting for the discussion we are having here today, here you see on the left of the slide the new roles are coming up. And what I particularly find interesting is that many of those refer directly to data or data management or data user. So what I think has been a great contribution of the work on HEMREM, and on top of the already good work by NTSOE, is that the focus on digitalization has been stronger, I would say. It brought in the perspective of a project that major focus on local grids, all the way to the communities. And within this exercise, several new roles have been identified, not only, but some of the old ones, let me say, being adapted. And I think what is interesting, this is now, I don't expect people to read through the right part of the slide. The message here, it's not easy, but it's feasible. But there are a lot of exchanges among the actors that are needed. And this picture is, I think, a good way to understand how complex is the problem we're trying to address.
And you introduced some, you changed the view on some existing roles. I think this is the red ones in the picture. And there's more. There's only part of the picture here, by the way. And the blue ones are the new roles. And in the new roles, I found something like a data delegated third party. Is that something that we were discussing with Janoko? The ones that deal with my data, or what is that?
I have to look at exactly the definition, but I think that's pretty much in the direction of what you're saying.
So the blue ones, if I look at that, and you cannot read it, data hub operator, data exchange platform operator, submeter data hub operator, data delegated third party. So the blue ones, these are the new roles that have to be defined, and Janoko said have to be regulated. Would you believe that everything will be regulated in this harmonized model?
Well, the idea is to be as comprehensive as possible, and that's where I think the input for as many people as possible is crucial to be sure that everything is covered.
Okay.
There is a big base because basically every project that is in Horizon, in the bridge, which is all the one that is smart energy in Horizon 2020, are involved, and a lot of them contributed.
Now you're talking research development, and it from the research projects, from the bridge projects, this initiative has been taken. What is the development process now? I mean, in former times, it was the big associations of the grid operators that talk to each other when creating this harmonized model. How can you believe that some 5 or 10 funded projects can have an influence on that?
Well, first of all, the group interacts with European Commissions because we interact with the Bridge Regulation Working Group, in which we have contribution from the Commission.
Okay.
That's a very important point. And the second, we are bringing this message forward and also bringing to the discussion also beyond the bridge. So that's mostly an activity in a Platone project led by Ercole De Luca.
From a DSO, from an Italian DSO. So
which is from an Italian DSO. Yeah, thank you for clarifying. So yeah, of course, it's important to bring the message forward and beyond just the activity in the bridge. But I think the link to the Commission, it's already a very important element.
Some minutes ago, we talked about a system of systems. I mean, at the end, I mean, you would agree that European energy or electricity system, at least, is a system of systems. So this harmonized model tries to describe not so much the technical part of it, but the market part of it.
Yes.
But then we talk about energy communities. So we have small subsystems of markets, but they will be different. We have different. We will discuss about energy communities. We have different implementations of energy communities. How can we deal with the system of systems if each single piece of the system has different culture, different attitude towards managing it, towards data, etc., etc.? Could it be harmonized all over Europe? Or what could be the role of the NSCG, for example?
I think there are two elements or two directions. What we are dealing here in HAMR is the exact definition of a role. Then the role is still to be mapped to a specific actor so that the same role in different countries can be taken by different entities, let's say. So there is here in the role model concept an abstraction from the implementation that deals with which information is needed to whom. But when we talk about who is the data owner, or when we talk about the data hub operator, I think this is a very good example. It doesn't say the role model who has to be, but just define the role.
So not who and not how. So there's a lot of leeway for the actors So there's a difference between the actor and the role.
Exactly.
So the roles may be the same, like in this picture, but they will be occupied by different type of actors, more local, more regional, more national. Exactly. So the harmonized model is open for that.
Yes.
And it is also open for energy communities, Anto. How, is energy community now a role in that model, or what is energy community there?
Energy community, well, first of all, one point is, again, in the mapping that we were saying, it can be that there is a role that can be taken by an energy community.
So the energy community would be then one actor, like in former times it was a local utility or something.
For example.
Okay. You know, I need a way to the next topic. Thank you, Anto, for giving your insight. Last not least, we will talk a bit about energy communities. Since he has some slides, I would take Benjamin Dannemann first, but then invite Alex Marini from Italy as well. Energy cooperatives in Germany have a long history. Benjamin and we invited the Association of the German cooperatives, and there are, and you will say that something like 1,000 or so energy cooperatives in Germany. Can you quickly run us through what are you doing in your DGRV? So yes. Quick run through that, and then we involve Alex and we discuss a bit the role of energy communities. Okay?
Okay. I'll quickly run through the slides. So I'm from the national office at the German Cooperative and Raiffeisen Confederation. We are the national apex organization. So we have all kind of different branches in Germany that are doing cooperatives. So we have the banking sector, we have the retailers, we have the agricultural sector, and then we have the consumer sector, and we have the housing cooperatives as well. So we are the top level organization for all these branches, excluding the housing co-ops. They have their own, but we are working closely together. And the main thing about, or the thing is that we have in Germany a cooperative law. So for all these different branches, we have one cooperative law, and we are in charge and in the interest of that law. So for energy communities, we have, like you said, nearly 1,000, and because they are quite new, they are directly at the top level organization. So they don't have one association just for their branch. They are here at the national office that I'm working for. Yes, and these nearly 900 renewable energy cooperatives, you have the different numbers here on that slide. Maybe just to give one quick thing, if you take the total share of renewable electricity generation in Germany, energy cooperatives are doing 3.5% of the renewable share. Just to give you an idea that we are not talking about 50% of the renewable share in Germany. We are talking about 3.5% renewable share. And the main thing about energy communities that I want to talk about is this. I mentioned the cooperative law on the one hand, where we have cooperatives are private corporations that are working for their members. So they are very specialized. And that is, especially in the electricity market, problematic with a business model that is working there, because from a cooperative point of view, it would totally make sense to sell the energy directly to the members. That is going with the district heating cooperatives. And that is something that on the EU level, they have in mind for energy communities as well. But the electricity market, the self-consumption that we are talking about, is not possible. So for cooperatives, it's very complex to sell the electricity directly to their members, and they have to run with a gray market, and that's a really complex thing. So from our point of view, it is very important when we are talking about energy communities, from a cooperative point of view, to have a better organization on a national level.
Yeah, thanks, Benjamin. This is a long discussion, and both of us, we are German, we can show this picture. It's about the transposition of the EU directives. And most of you know that there are two directives that describe two types of energy communities, the renewable energy communities and the citizen energy communities. There are different flavors, but at the end of the day, as you said, Benjamin, it's more or less about self-supply in a group of people. So which is, and you can see the red dot in the middle here in Europe. It's not possible in Germany, but it is possible. And I don't even know if this orange color in Italy is correct, because just recently you have added something to your law. I think we should make it green. Meanwhile, you are nodding, Michele, but I call upon Alex Marini. He is an advisor of the province of Trento. He knows energy transition from the ground and also from the bottom. Alex, how is it in Italy now? Is it completely transposed?
Hello, good morning, Ludwig, and good morning to everyone. In Italy is much more complex than Germany, so Benjamin, you can relax. We can work together, and you can help us. Okay, I'm a councillor of the autonomous province of Trento in Italy, which is an Alpine region in the north of Italy, close to Austria. And our peculiarity is that we have a primary legislative competence in the sector of cooperation and in the sector of energy. So this can gives us much power in order to regulate all the sector and make it easier to create new energy communities based on a decentralized form of production. But the problem is that in Italy, we don't have much information coming from the rest of Europe regarding the different models of energy communities. For example, in Germany, there are a lot of examples of cooperatives. Benjamin was complaining about the fact that it's difficult to produce and sell energy, but still you can do it. You have hundreds of cases, successful cases, that in Italy we are not able to implement. For example, in my province, we have 3 historic cooperatives. They are more than 100 years old, but the number is always the same. There is no way to create new cooperatives. For that reason, it's extremely difficult to apply the European Union directive, and because we have no way to compare the most successful examples that exist in Germany, but in other countries, especially northern countries.
Okay, Alex, you said you are lacking information, but you have Michele. I mean, Michele knows everything. Michele, how can NSCG make sure that Alex knows more about Europe?
Well, Alex was mentioning there is no way of comparing performances. So this is of course quite an interesting aspect also to be addressed in the National Stakeholders Coordination Group when we deal with the specific subject of the energy communities. And I think this is one of the subjects that can be tackled quite immediately, I would say, by the NSCG as one of the priorities that also emerges here. In fact, Alex is one of the actors of the new, we can say, deal of the energy communities in Italy, in fact, he compares the situation with respect to Germany, but there are many things happening nowadays in that respect in Italy, and it is becoming always less difficult to implement this type of scheme.
You said, Alex, that it's not so much about the energy community as such. You have transposed it to a law. There, I think you are a bit ahead of Germany, but you don't have the long history in cooperative approaches. I would like to ask Benjamin. I mean, we have this red Germany here, and we keep complaining in Germany. No, they didn't transpose it. But on the other hand side, can that prevent us from going cooperative like energy transition? I mean, can we stop acting because our national government doesn't transpose a directive, or what does that mean for you now?
Well, we try our best, of course, to still keep the business models for the energy cooperatives working, and to inform not only, of course, also from the European sides to get some good examples as well, because I would say, from my point of view, it's always good to learn, even in Germany, from all the other countries. For example, Austria is doing some very good things there. We are working in a project, for example, with the Austrian Energy Agency that tackles the energy communities. But yeah, of course, from a German point of view, it's also very important to see that there are not only the cooperatives that are working in the field of energy communities, that there are also the municipalities, and we are trying as well to work on now we are back again on the regional level, so together with the municipalities to set up water supply for smaller villages or for parts of cities. So that is something that we are tackling. And what we had heard before in the early session, from my point of view, it's also very important to have a look at what can be possible also in the other sectors, not only the electricity sector. Yeah. Electricity will play the key role in our future energy system, but we have to see how can we combine them with heat and especially mobility. And
this is possible even in Germany without transposing it. I mean,
exactly.
In Italy, I mean, how is it about, Alex, about heat, cooperative approaches to heatings or to mobilities, etc.? Is that possible? Is that something that you do already?
No, we are still behind on that because the challenge is not just to organize new creative and innovation energy actions. We need to consider that we operate in a centralized system based on fossil and nuclear plants. So every day we need to deal with the fact that there are a big national and big industrial groups that are opposing any alternative to produce energy at local level and to consume energy at local level. So
what could NSCG help? Quick question to the both of you. One wish to Michele. What can Michele take home? How can NSCG help Italy or Germany or your organizations?
Well, my answer would be compare. My answer would be bring together the different frameworks that we have heard about. We have heard also Flanders, we have heard Germany, we have heard Italy, and mentioning Austria as well. Try to bring these experiences together in a organized framework to try to learn from each other, and then of course try to bring that up a level to the national levels to show that something interesting may be happening elsewhere.
That's an offering, Benjamin. Alex, will you take the offer? DGRV is
Of
new in
course.
the club here. Will you consider to keep cooperating with NSCG, Benjamin?
It's for me, it sounds very, very interesting, and yes, we would be very interested to cooperate there. We are always for cooperations.
Yeah, you are cooperative.
But one thing I want to add.
You can always just talk to Michele, and you can talk in Italian. But any wish from your side to NSCG?
Yes, the coordination group can work to exchange the best experiences among local communities, but also among regional legislative bodies, because in many occasions they are in the condition to help and to promote energy communities. And if they know the other cooperation and energy laws around Europe, and if they know the best and successful examples, it's much easier to create that legislation that is prompting and supporting the creation of new communities.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Alex, Benjamin, and all the others that joined us here. I have seen Michele taking hundreds of notes, so you got a lot of input. Thanks for joining us. We wanted to ask, and we take 5 minutes for that, and then you go to lunch. We wanted to ask the audience. I mean, did we check and did we take the right topics? Can we do a quick Slido on that? How important is it to tackle the topics in the NSCG? Alisa runs a quick Slido. It's multiple Slidos, one after the other. And somewhere during the lunch, we will show you the result. But can we quickly run the Slidos? Meanwhile, you all know how to participate. It should open a window in you know how to do that. You have to click the stars somehow. And the more stars, the more important. Okay? We give it 60 seconds each, Alisa.
Yeah.
If people cannot make up their minds in 60 seconds, they will never make up their minds.
Okay, then we go to the next one.
Yeah, 58, 59, 60. How important is the next one? The harmonized energy role model. Meanwhile, you should know what that is. Can you also show the result, Alisa?
You should, so for the...
We still see the, okay, good.
Yeah.
Now we see the other one.
Okay, then let's go to the next question.
No.
No.
58, 59, 60. No, go.
Which is on
Now,
the topic of energy
how important
communities.
is it to tackle the energy communities? Okay. That's convincing. Michele?
Got my next job.
I think we can shorten this one. Do we have other offers, Alisa?
Yeah, we have the next one on the links between mobility and energy systems.
Ah. This is mainly, Michele, mainly big charging stations, I guess. A lot to do, Michele.
Yes, exchanging experience on the ways to identify and to set up, we can say, rules for the identification of the best places for big electric power charging stations. Good. We have the exact issue in Italy during these days.
Next. About flexibility. Luisa, I think you said that flexibility is something very important. Of course, it's also a bit cross-cutting to the others.
Sorry, I had problems in...
No, we are doing you a favor here because you said yesterday that flexibility management is so important in your opinion.
This is, for us, is very important, flexibility management.
And many people share that.
Yes, even if the topic, of course, is a central topic for many ongoing initiatives, of course, looking at the flexibility management at more a local level, but I would imagine as well that, well, and I'm not imagining, I know that the ETIP, for example, is looking at these aspects very, very, very carefully.
Do we have another one or are we done?
We have one last one on stakeholder motivation.
Stakeholder motivation. Stakeholder motivation, the reason behind is that we can do a lot in technology development, we can do a lot on the markets, but if people don't buy the apples on the marketplace, I mean, why do you create apples? Should we also tackle this stakeholder motivation, or we would call it adoption in JPP SES? So more like the people's world. Oh.
Yes, and here again, this is something that, as an example, is very carefully tackled by the present SES and also in the CETP strategic research agenda. So
yes,
learn from that.
Did you get what you wanted to know, Michele?
Oh, very much. Yes, I think there are many interesting points, and now we need to go back to work and not only to lunch.
Yes, but first we have to go to lunch. Not without saying a big thank you to all the people that came here, shared their opinions, gave us their inputs. Thanks a lot. You are free to go to lunch. Lunch will last until 1:30 only. Sorry for that, but we would like to start at 1:30 sharp. Maybe we wait for 5 minutes, but try to get a quick lunch and still enjoy it, get some fresh air. Be back at 1:30. In between, you can see your partners that you have scheduled some bilateral meetings with. I think they are open right now, or at 1 at the latest. At 1:30, we will start talking about what we call project chains, linking to other programs, funding programs, linking between funding, research, industry, etc. An excellent idea that came out from a big event that JPP SES did with DG RTD, DG ENA, and all together, and we try to implement that. Look at that. That will be extremely interesting for you guys if you want to create something that others will take up soon and maybe even if you want to develop products, that could be something for you. But enjoy the lunch. Be back at 1:30. Thanks.
And thank you very, very much for the very insightful and very fruitful discussion. Thank you again. See you later.
Thank you, Ludwig.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.